The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Valley, hooey Hollywood, where any office boy or young mechanic can be a panic with just a good-looking pan. And any barmaid can be a star maid if she dances with or without a plan. Hooray for Hollywood, where you're terrific if you're even good, where anyone at all from Shirley Temple to Amy Semple is equally understood. Go out and try your luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast, Damn You Hollywood. And here's your host, Robert Winfree. Yay!
Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here to mourn,
to
celebrate the life of a once beloved franchise.
We already did this with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
One of the better film trilogies that exists. And, you know, we all really should have left that as and with that ride into the sunset. But here we are again. And just celebrate and just mourning all over again. It's
I don't
sad
want to
time,
review
Mark.
This. I don't want to review this film. I don't want to review this film. I don't want to do this. Okay. Okay, but seriously, at some point, we really do need to do an entire podcast dedicated to the rise and fall of Lucasfilm.
Look, when it's sold from Disney, because there's rumors that Disney's looking at selling it.
Mm-hmm. They're that desperate for cash.
We covered that.
They owe Comcast, so there's still stuff in flux, but should it be sold, we will. I am happy to sit down with you and we will talk about the business and the creative and the whole nine yards. Joining us for this particular, because that's really what we're selling, more than just the death of Indiana Jones. This is the death of Lucasfilm, as we know.
It's funny. Go back in the archives. I think it's actually on this feed. I did a solo show that talked about the purchase of Lucasfilm, what that meant, and and what it would be. And here we are, these many years later, and we are watching that particular company go down in flames, with Kathleen Kennedy as the captain of the ship, not recognizing that the ship has holes in it. It's hit an iceberg. It's on fire. An asteroid has hit it.
And the Kraken has got its tentacles wrapped around it.
Right. And Kathleen Kennedy's going, it's fine. It'll be fine.
Steered into every iceberg available. Just ping pong.
It is, when they talked about the AOL Time Warner merger, it was discussed that this is going to go down in history books as one of the worst business deals of all time. Like, papers will be written about, books will be written about, documentaries will be made about it.
And there have been.
And we are now in the next phase of that, where people are going to be studying Kathleen Kennedy's Lucasfilm under Disney for years to come. This is bigger than, that's why we're starting off this way. This is bigger than Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
This is bigger than Star Wars. This is bigger than Willow. This is about somebody who, look, a lot of companies dealt with agendas, dealt with messaging, dealt with representation, inclusion. Some companies figured out sooner than others that if you push the average American movie buying, TV watching population too far, they will rebel. They will not go with you and right at the ship. Some are still figuring that out, and they are trying to pick up the broken pieces of their IPs. And Kathleen Kennedy under Lucasfilm seems like the biggest case of cognitive dissonance I've ever seen, where there's no tacit recognition of what they've done or what they're doing. And if you listen to some of the Variety and Hollywood Reporter,
just
the trades,
Hollywood trades,
they're still not admitting to the problems here. They're still like just around the terms of how bad Indiana Jones is doing, and it is doing bad for people that don't understand. And we'll get more into this with the money.
We will.
But $140 million a weekend on a $400 million production budget, by the way.
Hang on, 3.
It's between 3 and 4. Is not good.
Nope.
They're not going to make a profit on this movie.
Not even close.
And by itself, that's bad. When you look at the other miserable failures of Lucasfilm and then Disney at large, and the fact that their answer to this was, well, we'll do Toy Story 5 and Inside Out 2 and it'll be fine. And you're like, Jesus Christ, who is anyone?
You don't understand the problem. You don't understand the problem.
They are looking at that Emperor and swearing that the Emperor has got new clothes on, and he is as naked as the day is long.
Before we go any further, I do need to. You've heard from her a couple of times, but Alexis Hejna is back with us for this particular episode. So, Alexis, hi, welcome.
Hello there. Happy to be back. Did you miss me while you two had to suffer through the Flash last week?
No, we had Chris Bailey here. It was fine.
It was kind of fun.
Oh, good to know I'm that easily replaceable by Chris Bailey.
Dude,
You are not the first. You are not the first woman to cry to me that you're easily replaced, and you won't be the last.
Second, we're all replaceable. That's just the nature of this.
Oh, stop! No, you're not replaceable. You go.
Don't.
You go, and damn you, Hollywood goes with it.
That's not true. You would set up a rotating series of guests in a heartbeat.
It'll be just me and Alexis, awkwardly flirting with each other.
And I'm already running the TV network.
Running it into the ground like Lucasfilm. Hey.
No, Alexis is much better at managing her release schedule.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, I'd like to point out I've only had to reschedule once, and that was because 2 of my 3 contributors all came down with the flu.
Yeah.
Robert,
hang on. Let me preface this when we discuss Lucasfilm.
Mm-hmm.
Lucasfilm was purchased. Lucasfilm had a few different IPs to their name when they were bought out by Disney, right? When George Lucas sold it over. 2 big ones. Star Wars and Indiana Jones. That's 90% of George Lucas's entire creative output. Over the last, 6-7 years, Disney killed Star Wars. You took one of the most passionate, engaged fan bases ever.
Religious. This was a religious cult in many ways.
And you ground them into the dust.
I'd like to think we can thank the only salvageable parts of Star Wars right now are thanks to Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau.
Yeah, they had a few shining lights in a pitch black darkness.
You know me. I like to give credit where credit is due, and I wanted to give a shout out to those two.
I'm agreeing with you, but that's what it was. It was a nightlight.
It was, hey, here's the Mandalorian, and people kind of like it, and then that fell off. I mean, you took like the one thing about Star Wars people actually enjoyed, and you managed to kill it over 3 seasons of television. You had a trilogy that was utterly incoherent, mismanaged, and by the end of it, like your last film made $1 billion, and you didn't see, for some reason, you thought that's all that mattered. Like you didn't
hang on, put that in the context. It made less money than the previous 2.
It did.
So, like, The Force Awakens comes out and it makes metric tons of billions of dollars. The next one, The Last Jedi, comes out, it makes less money. The Rise of Skywalker still makes over $1 billion, but it's eking over the finish line. It's not. These movies should have made more money as we progress through the trilogy. Think about like The Dark Knight or The Lord of the Rings. By the time we got to the end of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, that thing, Return of the King, made more money than Fellowship. That's the way the trajectory is supposed. That is the way the trajectory is supposed to go.
Yeah.
Not this way.
And
could be worse. They could have kept Zack Snyder's idea for a Star Wars movie.
Let's not talk about Zack Snyder.
Hang on. Well, look, I understand that there's the Snyder cult, and that's fair enough, but are we going to pretend that a Snyder trilogy would have done worse than what Jar Jar Abrams did?
Said I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to do. We have to talk about this movie. We have to discuss Lucasfilm.
I just wanted to bring up.
I don't want to discuss mindless speculation about a thing that didn't happen. You know what else didn't happen? Rian Johnson's trilogy. You know what else didn't happen?
J.J. Abrams' trilogy.
The what the fuck's her name? Rogue Squadron. Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
There are so many.
You know what they're about? You know what they're about to soft cancel before it even sees the light of day? The Acolyte.
Right. So like not only is Lucasfilm littered with the graveyards of their IP, but in another section there's a bunch of canceled projects that never got off the ground.
Yeah, all those. You guys want something you can take? You can take my speculation on all that crap that was announced at Star Wars Cremation Day.
Mm-hmm.
None of it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make a joke about Snyder basically telling Disney, fine, I'll go make my own Star Wars universe with blackjack and hookers.
I would have taken that.
It's coming out on Netflix. I think we're reviewing it. Yeah, we're reviewing that, all right? Rogue Moon or something like that.
Yes, we
Rebel
are.
Moon. Rebel Moon.
Yeah.
And if I can see the creator of that too.
Is that a movie or a TV series?
Netflix movie.
Okay, I had to know. It's like, wait, which one of us is getting saddled with that shit?
I'm watching it. I'll review it with Mark. It'll be a good time.
Oh, I'll join you guys. I just needed to know if I was in charge or not.
Fair enough. So we're talking about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny tonight, and
before we get into it, there's a question I need to ask.
By all means.
All right. So I wasn't sure if your waxing depressive was done or not. I don't want to
Mark, my depression is never done.
Fair. Your depression about Lucasfilm. Normally this is the section of the show where we're like, tell me about your fandom, and then I cut that out and I put it on TikTok in essay form because I am an essayist.
A video essayist? No,
I am a video essayist. I walk in the annals of the intellect.
You don't do nearly enough actual video editing and inserts to qualify as that.
I walk in the hollowed halls of the intelligentsia, but that's not what we're here to discuss right now.
You walk
brandy and cigars.
Moving right along.
You walk through the dregs and back alleys of TikTok.
Fair. Anyway, jerk.
Which is worse than Gotham in the mid-'80s.
This is where I would go, what's your favorite Indiana Jones movie? And we would talk about that, and I would throw that up on TikTok. I don't want to do that. I want to
Last Crusade, by the way.
Everyone's
favorite
is The Last Crusade. That's what I really want to talk about, and I think is more relevant to this review, is what were these movies really about? Because I'm going to go ahead and give away something I'm going to say during the draft review. This fucking movie was about nothing. What people see, here's my problem with popular culture. And Alexis, I want you to come sit by my feet with your notebook and your thinking cap. And I want to teach you something here. Action movies can be about stuff.
Should be, in point of fact.
They can have themes. They can have subtext. The problem with that is that in many cases it doesn't really reach the audience the way it should. And because of that, you have two kinds of people that make bad action movies. You have the ones that don't see the subtext because they're dumb. The ones that don't see the themes, and they just think an action movie is a popcorn string of action sequences with some plot dumps in between. Then you have the people who they go ahead and they make their action movies. They try to put themes in there. They try to put subtext, but it's the most dumbed down, most basic stuff. And they think like this is high art. The point being, in many cases, people who make these movies don't think the audience is gonna care. And so that's what I was trying to say. They don't put it in there at all because it was like, well, all people do care about are the action sequences. All people care about is like the ghost guys from the Matrix flying in between the cars. All they care about is the safe wrecking Rio de Janeiro in.
That's all you care about.
And Fast and the Furious. Stay with me. There's a tacit belief in Hollywood by some that the only reason people watch action movies are for the action sequences, and that the subtext and the themes don't reach them. So the next step is, well, then make these movies without them. Make them without them. Don't put them in there. Don't try to make these about anything anymore. Just give the people what they want. Give them popcorn string movies.
Okay, now that you've read the manifesto of the Fast and the Furious producers.
So
Not wrong.
my point being that the Indiana Jones movies were actually about something. In Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Robert, this is where I want you to chime in.
Okay.
Raiders of the Lost Ark was about somebody trying to find something greater than himself. The stuff. What people remember is him running from the bowling ball. What people remember.
Hang on. Do you want to know what
I do, but give me a minute.
All right.
You open, what people remember is opening the ark and having everyone's face melt off. They remember the whips, they remember the gunshot, with the guys with the swords, whatever. That's the shit that they remember. What no one remembers, but what I remember is Karen Allen screaming at Indiana Jones in the middle of a burning bar, going, "I was a child and you knew it," and him wrestling with guilt about his treatment of her. I'm going to go to you in a second for the greater themes or whatever, Raider of the Lost Ark. Temple of Doom, what everyone remembers is people's hearts getting ripped out, Molaram, Sularam, and all of that. What they don't remember,
monkey brains.
What they don't remember, and what they don't remember, what the movie is really about, is about how Indiana Jones realizes there are better things in life than fortune and glory. That saving those kids in many ways saves his soul, as he starts off in that movie as somebody who's again chasing fortune and glory, and by the end of it he's doing it for the kids. He's saving the kids. He's giving the stones back to the village because that is the right thing to do. The right thing to do doesn't always benefit you. The right thing to do is just the right thing to do, and that's the moral of the story of Temple of Doom. And Last Crusade is about fathers and sons and that relationship, and that's what that movie was about. Also about letting go of your obsessions, letting go of the things that you think are important that are actively hurting you. You want to add to anything I've just said in terms of themes and subtext?
Well, there's a few things here that there's a reading of this that is. I haven't watched the entire trilogy start to finish in far too long. So I'm not sure I can support this at every step of the way, but not to get overly religious here, so I apologize if I'm going to annoy anyone with this. There's actually an LDS reading of that trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a pretty decent chance Indiana Jones is actually he's actually a Mormon.
Okay.
Dude grew up in rural Utah in 1912. I can tell you the odds on that.
Fair.
But it starts with, I know Temple of Doom is technically a prequel to Raiders, but in the presented structure, it starts with him lost, looking for pointless things, looking for trinkets. He is confronted with the divine, powers greater than himself.
Yep.
And it changes him. It fundamentally changes him. The second one, Temple of Doom, is not just about the moving beyond agnosticism to, evil is real. It's not just a concept. There's no moral relativism here. There are things in this world that are evil and need to be opposed, and his personal growth beyond selfishness.
Right.
And it concludes with him finding himself and his family through the atonement. The last bit is about the Holy Grail. Right.
So again, the layman watches these movies and thinks, action scenes and on tracks and mine carts, that sort of thing. Shooting Nazis, running from bowling balls, all of that. But all of that stuff is there. My frustration with Dial of Destiny is that it's not about, and I'm not even acknowledging Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's not about actually, but as like an epilogue, that actually is about something too.
It is.
Go ahead.
Without going too deep into it.
Mm-hmm.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is about the second phase of your life. It's about what you do when you're not young anymore. It's about your legacy. It's about what you leave behind. It's about who you want to be as time progresses.
Mm-hmm.
And for as goofy as that movie is, and it really is, there is subtext there. And here's the problem with the way people talk about this stuff. Because the people who make these movies, not all of them, but I'm speaking generally, they want their subtext acknowledged. I put in this effort, I put in this work, And when no one talks about it, their response is, well, screw it. It's the inability to get their flowers, so to speak, I think is off-putting to them. So again, they kind of go, screw it. Why do I bother?
Right.
In reality, though,
why put it in, either they put it in there, it's so blatant that it's like porno, or it's not in there at all.
Well, hang on. The problem is the audience, you're asking them to be literate about the nuance of filmmaking in ways that are just unreasonable. Like, if you're not a critic, a serious critic, be that professional or what we do, or someone who, makes other movies, if you're not in the weeds to that respect, to that level, you don't recognize it, but it still impacts you. It's the reason why certain films in certain franchises are remembered and thought of well, and others no one cares about. Like, you took it out, and the audience can't tell you, I'm missing the subtext, I'm missing the meaning, I'm missing the emotional cohesion. But they are. They just don't have the vocabulary or the literacy to express it, and everyone's just kind of, it winds up with everyone screaming at each other.
But imagine popular fiction went through that. Like, I'm thinking about going through high school. Part of the reason why I do this podcast, that's a small part, but a part, is I remember one of the great joys of going through school, and school was a miserable fucking dreck hell for me for a variety of reasons. But the few places where I shined and felt joy was in English class. And part of the reason was, as I got higher and I was in honors and AP English, it became less about just reading the books and writing reports and more about discussion. These became readings and interpretation and full-on discussions about the subtext and themes of the books we were reading. And I apply the same introspection, and I apply the same interpretations in what we do on this podcast. This is sort of the book club for film. And it's a lot to ask other people to do that, but I think in many ways people do. Maybe not to the level that we're doing, certainly not to the level that we're doing, but there are people who come out of these films and they talk about them, and giving them the credit where credit's due, it's a little more hefty and a little more deep than that was cool, I liked it. People do sit and, one of my most favorite things to do after a movie was to go to a New York diner, get a plate of cheese, fries, and gravy, and talk to my friends, because I'm from New York, and talk to my friends about the movie. Not just what we liked and didn't like, because that's boring, but what did this film mean to us? What did we see? What did we relate to or not relate to? What were the problems with it? And imagine a world where popular fiction writers, novelists, went into the same mental headspace that you're talking about with some filmmakers of, well, people read my books, but I don't think they get the subtext, so fuck it. I'll just write crap. I'll just write porn.
You joke, but a lot of them are there.
Well, gosh, that's very telling about our culture. We kind of accidentally backed into this sort of, admission that our culture is just... There's
nothing... Look, not to get too conspiratorial, but there's nothing accidental about that.
Well, I was going to say, I listened back today. I'm listening back to a lot of our old shows because that's where I find that's currently where I find joy. And I listened to us talking about Don't Look Up.
Just weeping in the bathroom, listening to us.
Yeah, kind of. We're not that far off. I'm driving and weeping, but yes, not
fair enough.
Not the bathtub. But I was listening to a discussion of Don't Look Up and how we were comparing it to Idiocracy.
Yeah.
And so to sort of wrap this point so we can get to the movie, my frustration with Dial of Destiny, so people understand what I'm saying, is that there was a point where filmmakers understood that your film has to be more than a collection of scenes that show people stuff that is visually stimulating. It has to be about something. You're either doing character pieces or there's laden themes, laden subtext. These films have to talk about, in some way, shape, or form, the meaning of life, the man's journey, anything, something. And I'm finding all too often, Dial of Destiny being the latest example of this, the film is about nothing. It is action porn. We have disaster porn. I'm going to call Dial of Destiny 2.5 fucking kill me 2.5, I want to eat a gun hours of just action porn, which by all means, if you want to watch 2.5 hours of action porn, I'm not taking that away from you. And for the love of Christ, our friends that are listening to this, you're not dumb because you like Dial of Destiny. No one's saying that. God knows I'm not. But for the love of Christ, I'm going to look at an orange and say it's an orange. And I'm sorry if that bothers you because you think it's something else. Or you're like, well, I liked oranges. And why are you calling it what it is? That bothers me. Like, no. Things are what they are. We call them out. And if that bothers you, I'm sorry. But it's really frustrating that I now have to live in a world where the expectation for me and you and some other people is to lie, essentially, and say things aren't what they are because we might have upset someone.
We are.
Yeah.
We're in a space where we're kind of culturally required to indulge others' psychosis. So reasonably then, why wouldn't we be required to indulge others' taste?
So again,
Mark, before you continue, go take a cold drink. I'm really scared you're on the verge of having an embolism.
So 2.5 hours of action porn, if that appeals to you, I'm happy for you. God knows there's plenty of dumb shit that appeals to me too, as Patrick Mullen is fond of pointing out.
Mark would sell one of his children to get the raunchy sex comedy to make a resurgence.
He'd sell both of them for that. Who are you?
I've already talked about.
He'd toss his wife in for free.
Trying to be a better person.
That's why, Mark. This is why we have good friends, so they can make the jokes that are in our hearts, and we don't get in trouble for saying them.
Anyway, in conclusion, this movie was about nothing. And if you're like, but I liked it, let me try this one more time because I don't think anyone's understanding me. It's about nothing. I don't give a shit if you liked it or not. I seriously don't give a fuck anymore. If it's not about anything and it's just a collection of scenes that it's just stunts, it's the Indiana Jones fucking stunt show. Okay, that's what it is, and that's what you like. Let's move on. Let's stop strangling each other because I'm supposed to like the stunt show and I don't. A plot synopsis, if you please, unless you have anything else to add. I've been banging my shoe on the fucking table for the past 20 minutes.
We appreciate you, Khrushchev. Alexis, anything you want to toss out here before we get into this?
No, I just wanted to make sure that I punctuated Mark's rant with Zachary's pun earlier, and I think I got that across.
That's fair. All right, so the Dial of Destiny, ladies and gentlemen.
I haven't had a good rant in a while. You know what? Fuck you both.
No. Hey.
No. I feel like I'm getting called out here. Like I'm not allowed to have an emotional fucking breakdown in public.
I never said you weren't allowed to have an emotional breakdown in public. I just said that I'm not going to hold back with our good friend's puns while you're having an emotional breakdown.
You also told me I look like I'm about to have a stroke. And let me tell you something, sister. I fucking stroke out on this podcast. I'm still going to keep going. And I'll die when it's over.
It's not my fault that you're turning as red as your background.
I like to blend.
Your blood pressure might have really gone up a few notches.
I was going to say,
I'm a little triggered.
Mark, I'm your friend, okay? That's not me making fun of you. That's me actually pointing out I really don't want to have to call the Florida ambulance, whatever the hell Ron DeSantis is plugging down there, and tell him to go get your corpse off the ground.
It's called an Uber driver. It'll be fine. The plot synopsis, please.
All right. Now that we're all in a better headspace.
So, yeah.
Mark's had a few.
What are you drinking, by the way, Mark?
This podcast.
Don't say it online. Twitch gets mad at you about this.
Just hold the label up so we can read it.
Do that.
For God's sake.
I'll send it to you in the private chat.
Look, man.
I'm just trying to be friendly and make conversation. For God's sake.
Along with pictures of my genitalia. You ready?
If we were not on Twitch, I wouldn't have a problem, but Twitch is funny about this. So we open Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny with maybe the best sequence of the movie. It's a flashback to the waning of World War II, where Indiana Jones is trying to infiltrate a Nazi group that is packing up relics, ready to head off. And allegedly within this is the spear of Lon. Is the
I don't want
lance
to do
of
this anymore.
Longinus.
I'm going to get more alcohol. I'll be right back.
All right.
All right. I was going to say, for the record, again, I am the one that always wants to call out something good. Can we discuss how amazing the de-aging process has come in the last, like, I don't know, 5 years or so? How incredible Harrison Ford looks in this.
When we get to that, yeah. This is the best the de-aging stuff has looked, period. It's still got issues in places, but I've seen a lot worse than this.
Yeah, Ford actually gave an interview. Apparently they actually took all the footage they had shot of him in all the other Indiana Jones movies, and they were able to point everything on his face for every possible lighting. So every part of that, it's not just like animation de-aging. It's like putting a digital mask on his face of a frame from an 80s film.
So Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones is captured because he's Indiana Jones. He's always captured at some point. They are here looking for the Lance of Longinus, which is slightly more colloquially known as the Spear of Destiny.
Isn't it pronounced Longinus?
I've always heard Longinus.
Mark, you want to break the tie?
Long penis.
It's Roman, so it would be. I think it would be more Longinus. I don't know.
No.
Either way,
Arr.
please don't.
Then keep going.
It doesn't matter. It's the spear that pierced the side of Christ when he was on the crucifix. The mythology is that whoever holds the spear controls the world.
I get compliments on how much my spear pierces people. Move this the fuck
Please.
on. I'm going to keep going.
Please don't, Mark. Again, allegedly, the Spear of Destiny is, again, that's what it is. Yeah. If you go into the like occult side of things, Hitler allegedly had a third of it, and that's what sparked World War II.
I'm like, didn't we do this once before? Oh no, that's right. That was in Legends of Tomorrow, where they did the spear.
It's a popular relic, but because we can't have nice things and we can't get Indiana Jones and the Spear of Destiny, it's a fake. But within the relics is a real thing, the Antikythera, half of it at least. The mythical dial created by Archimedes. And here, to be our villain, a tremendous waste of an actor's talent, we have Mads Mikkelsen as a physicist here rummaging around through archaeological artifacts.
He's supposed to be kind of they kind of took a bit of Werner von Braun for his character, which I actually thought was a clever idea.
I don't hate it. I don't hate bringing up Operation Paperclip in that respect, but it's badly used here, and I'll get to that later. Anyway, bombs, explosions, Indiana Jones is nearly hanged, but plot armor. Everyone gets that. There's a big car chase and a motorcycle chase, and they wind up on a train. There's a big fight through the train, and at the end of the day, most of the Nazis die. Mads Mikkelsen is decapitated.
He should have been if that scene from Speed was accurate.
There's no way he survived that. Just straight up.
Keep going.
He's decapitated. Indy and his friend Basil they jump into a river before the train is wrecked. They are rescued by the British troops who are here. And thus ends our flashback.
And they got away with the Antikythera.
We have the doohickey.
Let's just call it what it is, the MacGuffin.
We have half the MacGuffin, so we have the Mac. And as we are dealing with and then we cut forward in time. And Mark, it's a Lucasfilm project, so our masculine hero must be old, sad, broken down, alcoholic. They just took everything from him, man. Our heroes can't have happy endings. They just can't. So Indiana Jones is now living in New York for reasons.
Because he apparently turned down the associate dean ship, whatever, at the college from Kingdom of the Crown. I don't know what you'd call it, but it's like, seriously, I know they moved it to New York so he could be closer to the parade with the astronauts that they wanted to include in the script. But why the hell would anyone turn down the position at an affluent college like that to go work for Hunter College in New York?
No one knows, because he has to be pathetic. So Indiana Jones his son is dead. He's getting divorced. He's living in a crappy New York apartment. He drinks too much.
The
Our
hippies are playing music too loud.
Our introduction to this is literally him walking down in his underwear to bang on the door of a neighbor and yell about the music being too loud.
While carrying a bat.
Well, I mean, how else are you going to take on like a house full of people?
A bat's a good choice.
Hey, look, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall took on the entire WCW locker room with just bats. I mean,
yeah, and somebody with a brain should have shot both of them, but it's wrestling.
Well, someone with a brain should have shot Harrison Ford too, but let's keep going.
It's New York in the 70s. I'm surprised they didn't.
Yeah.
Late 60s.
Fair enough. So we're introduced more to his pathetic existence. He's retiring from his job. He drinks too much. He doesn't care for his colleagues. They don't really care for him. He's just done with life. He's old, he's tired, and he's a sad, pathetic wreck. Living on...
I'll say enough about Harrison Ford. Get back to Indiana Jones.
But, Mark, because this is a Lucasfilm, a British brunette, slender, must arrive to shake our hero from his stupor and then do everything better than him. Thank you, KK. We see your self-inserts. You cow. So in walks Fleabag.
Are you gonna? Okay, seriously. Are you gonna call her that?
Yes.
I'm not stopping him.
For those unaware, the actress is Phoebe Waller-Bridge. What she is most known for is a TV series called Fleabag. It's on Amazon if you're so inclined. I don't recommend it. In walks, again, Fleabag, who answers all the questions that he asks in class because all his other students don't care. Everyone is bored, and she's just, smart. And he retires, and he goes to a crappy dive bar to get drunk as he just waits for alcohol poisoning to end his life. And she shows up, and she's like, "You don't remember me. I'm your goddaughter." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, Wombat. Why is she Wombat? No one knows." So they get drunk together as she tries to expound to him, "Look, I'm an archaeologist now too, and I'm totally looking to collect the Antikythera because I want to be famous." And he goes, "This stupid thing drove your father nuts. What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, you dropped it in that river in the French Alps when you guys were fleeing from the Nazis on the train. We can go there, and the movie here is helpful enough, speaking of lack of subtext, to tell you its entire mission statement in one line of dialogue from her. You get to have a final triumph after your life fell to shit. I become rich and famous and carry on the franchise going forward."
Yeah.
This is what this movie's trying to do. He says, "No. This is a bad idea. Please stop." And she goes, "Come on." And he goes, "Look, come with me and I'll show you something." So they go to the antique room at Hunter College. And he goes, "Yeah, I didn't drop it. I got it from your dad. It's right here. I keep it under these arrowheads." And right about this time, a bunch of CIA goons show up because Mads Mikkelsen is here, noted German physicist, who, if you're not familiar with the actual history here, both the Soviet and the United States governments offered deals to German scientists in the wake of World War II to help to come over and help out their various governmental explorations and whatnot. This includes, but it's not limited to, people who did truly, truly atrocious things during the Holocaust. But without knowing the effects of pressure on the human body, maybe we never go into outer space. So, who knows?
That was disturbing.
It's a disturbing chapter in human history. If you think I'm exaggerating, feel free to look it up. But he's one of these scientists who came over and was responsible for us beating the Russians to the moon. And he's in New York, partially for the parade of the returned astronauts. And he has men, Mark. He has men. Because of course he does. And he's got there's a CIA contact with him. So Foxy Brown is here with Mads Mikkelsen.
Along with Boyd Holbrook, who apparently cannot get any role besides just soulless heathen killer.
I want to give you 3 points to Gryffindor for the Foxy Brown reference. Aces.
Wait, Winfree, are you a Gryffindor?
I don't know.
You say 3. Hey, you say you give the points to Gryffindor. I want to make sure he's actually a Gryffindor.
I genuinely don't know. Anyway. Anyway, they found Helena. She's in this she's in this area, so our bunch of goons go there. They kill a couple of people, which annoys the CIA agent who's with them, but she then does nothing to stop them and just keeps going blithely along with, murder. And Indiana Jones shows her his half of the MacGuffin, so he's got the Mac, and Helena then runs away, locks him in with the violent murderers, and says, sorry, I have to go prance across rooftops. So she runs out. We get a long chase sequence. Indiana Jones is able to outrun a motorbike and a subway train with a horse.
Oh, come on. That was fun.
He had horsepower.
Zach, take off the Mark mask.
That's my racket, you bitch.
But now, because people died and Indiana Jones called it in, now apparently he's wanted for murder because this movie is too rock stupid to actually create a genuine impulse for things to happen.
Go on.
So he finds Sallah, who's now driving a New York cab, but is still really plugged into all the North African underworld dealings.
Hey, look, he's subscribed to the newsletter. Move this on.
Who cares? It's John Rhys-Davies. Any chance you get with John Rhys-Davies to spout exposition is worth it.
I just wish it hadn't sucked. And
That should be the name of the movie, Indiana Jones. We hope it doesn't suck.
And it turns out that Helena is not an archaeologist. She's a thief and a con woman and genius billionaire playboy philanthropist.
She's a black market dealer.
She also flies the Millennium Falcon, and she made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs.
Yeah, and she is all the Jedi.
Yep.
Just all of them. Just crammed them in there.
She isn't supposed to be here today.
So he gets on he hops a plane, goes to
Tangiers.
Morocco. Yeah, it's Tangier, right?
Tangier.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he interrupts the auction of this highly valuable thing. Somehow the Nazis are here as well.
Oh, and we also have to deal with the fact that Helena apparently jilted the son of a prolific mobster, and he is pissed off as hell to the point that he's actually wielding a sword that points to the prop department. I'm pretty sure that thing was supposed to look like it was made of Damascus steel.
It is and does. And she's got look, if you order short round from Wish, you get Teddy.
Yep. Keep going.
And so she's got her own little magic brown boy who has an aviation.
Oh my god, I cannot believe you just phrased it like that.
That's
Hang on. Hang on. God, I love you more than life itself. Put it on a t-shirt, Mindy.
well, that's the name of the trope. That was actually what it was called.
I don't care.
Another chase ensues.
Probably actually one of the best ones.
So intermittently, chase ensues, and then at the end of it, Indiana Jones has to beg to come along on his own adventure because they kind of know where they're going, and he knows a guy who's got a boat because our hyper competent, brilliant, beautiful, self-indulgent, strong, independent woman who doesn't need no man or God.
Stunning and brave.
I really hate the fact that people took the wrong lesson from that line from Tony Stark. What are you without the suit? Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. The point is
whatever. The point is James Mangold pulled in a favor and got Antonio Banderas to do a cameo.
I suck with this.
So his old buddy is Antonio Banderas, who is a retired Spanish frogman now living in Greece. We go diving. People die. But we get the MacGuffin. It's actually not the MacGuffin. It's the thing that points you to the thing that points you to the other thing that leads you eventually to the MacGuffin. So we get the next bit of the fetch quest. Everybody comes up for air because it's not scuba diving. I think it's scuba diving. I forget what the acronym.
It doesn't matter. They've got 3 minutes to get down. Oh, and of course we also have eels, which look like snakes underwater.
Can't tell you how much I hated that.
Oh, I know. I just wanted to see you ride.
So close. So close.
We're not that close. They come back up.
It would be if you go faster.
And here's the Nazis, and Mads Mikkelsen shoots Antonio Banderas, and Fleabag goes on a long exposition bit about how this might be where they're going, and then they light dynamite that doesn't sink the boat. They jump onto the Nazis' boat, and they drive off, and everyone's whooping and hollering, and Harrison Ford goes, "My best friend was just murdered," and they go, "We'll wait for half a second," and then go back to jokes. This is the tone of this movie. Turns out Fleabag was lying to Mads Mikkelsen about where they have to go next. He should think they have to go to the Library of Alexandria, when in fact they have to go to Syracuse. And after they get back to New York, nope, wait, sorry, the one in Italy, Sicily. This is the dumbest thing, because Mads Mikkelsen just has binoculars on the prow of this boat and looks at them.
I get that he figures out they're not going in the direction of where he said they were, or where Fleabag said they were going, because he points us like, wait, they're going west, not east. I get that, but the fact that he's able to credit Sicily.
Hang on. Did you just call her Fleabag?
I gave up trying to fight. Okay.
What? I can't tell if you're biting his rhyme or if you're just like, I want to be cool too, so I'm doing what you guys do. Which one is it, Alexis? Confess.
It's called I'm saving my strength for the arguments I actually think I can win. Repeatedly calling her Phoebe Waller-Bridge is not one of them.
All right. Fair enough. I wish that I could be like.
So he just follows them. Like they're in a boat and they don't see him following them somehow. It's so dumb. Anyway, they get to Sicily and they have to go to this cave. So Teddy, being stupid, wanders around this town eating ice cream and bumps into the Nazis.
Hey, get it right. He was eating gelato.
Fair enough. And our intrepid band of idiots then goes, they won't hurt him, they need him, as though these people have not violently murdered everyone. Oh yeah, they shot Foxy Brown a while back, useless character. As though they haven't murdered everyone they've come across, but the kid has plot armor, so they go spelunking, and somehow the key to finding the Tomb of Archimedes is that in this tourist attraction cave, no one ever looked up. Just never looked up. So they climb a rock wall, and she makes fun of Indiana Jones for being old and physically broken down. They get up there, and the Nazis start following them, and they solve a few puzzle problems and a few that were cut, obviously, because they're in the trailer and they are not here, so they were filmed and not used. Throughout the course of this, Teddy and large pro wrestler whose name I forget fall into the water. He handcuffs him to a grate there, so he drowns, and then Teddy swims away to rejoin the plot later via teleportation magic. They find the Tomb of Archimedes, they open it, they find the Guffin half of the MacGuffin, but there's also a modern watch on the wrist of this very old dead guy. We don't quite know what's going up with this. The Nazis show up. There's a gunfight. Indiana Jones is shot in the chest and dies. No, he sticks around for a little bit longer.
For the record, that guy's not a professional wrestler. He actually holds the record for tallest professional bodybuilder.
I'm confusing him with someone else then. My apologies.
You're thinking of Kurgan.
Yeah, I am. My mistake. Not Kurgan.
Or Nathan Jones, maybe, but either way.
No. I know that's not Nathan Jones. I know what Nathan Jones looks like.
Yeah, no, I was actually curious because the first time I saw him on screen was like, I actually said the same thing. I'm like, okay, who did they poach from the WWE? So when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, I should have looked that up. No, Dutch bodybuilder.
Fair enough. So they take the wounded Dr. Jones with them onto an airplane because after you put together the MacGuffin, it will point you to fissures in time that you could theoretically, if you decode the math, use to go back to different points, like you predict, like the weather, where they are, and Mads Mikkelsen's plan is to go back in time to the early 1940s to assassinate Adolf Hitler and take over the Third Reich for himself. And we all just die a little inside. So as they're flying...
It's not the first time I've seen a movie where the plot was get rid of Hitler and let someone else take command, and maybe Germany might have stood a chance.
You're going to get me on a tangent that I don't want to be on. So as they're starting to take off, Fleabag, now suddenly struck with conscience after being an insufferable person for the last 2 hours.
The word you were looking for is twat.
Sure. That's the word I was looking for. That's not the word I was looking
Another 4-letter word that ends in T, perhaps?
You had no qualms about putting it on screen at one point.
No, it's not. I had no qualms. I was tricked. I was duped. I was an innocent victim in that
She
game.
hops into their plane, and Teddy hot wires an airplane, having never done so, starts it up, takes off, having never done so. None of this wakes up the pilot, literally sleeping right behind him, mind you.
Yeah, I never understood why there was someone else asleep in the plane.
Because they needed someone who was actually competent at flying
Because
to
it
solve
happened
the
in
problem.
the first Indiana Jones movie. Did I mention this was fucking watching Journey in concert, and we're up to separate ways? Speaking of which, keep going.
They fly through the time portal, and they go back to the siege of Syracuse. This is where we are. And
because it turns out the Nazis forgot that continental drift didn't or Archimedes had no concept of continental drift, so obviously the MacGuffin is going to point into a different direction than what they think.
Which is then immediately contradicted by them saying he created a time machine that only brings you back here. So all the other points in time were different fissures that all brought you back to this point, not would take you to the... It's stupid. I hate this plot. I really hate it. So we're here. We've arrived at the siege, and the most accurate Roman ballista in human history shoots down airplanes. And my brain exited the back of my skull. It was, we're done here. Nope. So the plane crashes, killing everyone except Harrison Ford and Fleabag, who dive out in a parachute. Archimedes is here and rides a horse out to find them for some reason. And Indiana Jones looks around and goes, "I've finally made it. I'm part of history." Just like that French guy said I would be when he locked me in a tomb in the Egyptian desert all those years ago. But now, please, I'm not going to fight to get out of here. Please leave me here to die. This is what I want. Leave me here to die. I'll be... Archimedes is my hero. Since when? Since 2 minutes ago, because the writer sucks.
In all fairness, his son is dead. His wife has filed for a divorce. He's basically been forced into retirement from his job. Jones,
look, I'm not going to let you finish. No, I'm not going to let you finish that thought. People have losses. They all don't give up on life, beg to die, and hope that the young, pretty Kathleen Kennedy insert carry on their legacy. That was horseshit.
And
I never said it wasn't. I was just trying to add a little more subtext to the scene.
Because it's garbage. This insistence that anyone over the age of 40 just wants to be dead and replaced by a younger, prettier woman. I'm a little tired of it. And the fact that they fucking threw it into Indiana Jones after failing at 19 other projects with the same stupid thing. I get, ugh. Anyway, almost there.
Fleabag knocks him out, and I assume we had a different ending because now we hard cut. You can tell this was desperately reshot at the last minute. We smash cut back to Indiana Jones's crappy apartment, and he's recovering. And he goes, "Why did you do this to me?" And Fleabag goes, "I'll let someone else figure that out for you." And in walks Karen Allen. And
what are you doing here, Karen Allen? A very brief cameo.
Very brief. And Sallah shows up, telling his kids the story of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Not a good move to actually just remind people of an infinitely better movie. So everyone else F's off for ice cream. And not a joke, literally what they do. And Marion and Indy have a moment where they recreate sort of an inverse that famous scene on the boat from Raiders, and you have the great John Williams score, and people now start responding emotionally positively to all this. And Indy realizes life is still worth living, despite the fact that, everything is crap, because, Fleabag saved him. Without her, wouldn't be here. And thus ends Indiana Jones. Thus ends Lucasfilm.
All right. I'm gonna start because I want Alexis to be between you and I as kind of like a shit, positivity shit. And so that's how we're doing this. I don't have a lot, and I also don't have a lot to say, and I'm sure Alexis is going to have a lot more to say. So let me just get this shit out of the way first. This is so long. This was a long, boring, in my opinion, slog of a movie. This was, I want to go ahead and say this. I actually want to apologize to Alexis because she said the same shit about Eternals, and I was like, "How dare you? How dare you say this movie was long and boring? Don't you understand film? Don't you understand what we're here to do?"
Didn't
You
I
can't
say the same thing
you
about
can't say-
Eternals?
You can't say it's boring. That's not an objective. I apologize, Alexis. This fucking movie is boring. I'm sorry. You're allowed to say things are boring. Because now I am. That's how that works. This is, God, 2.5 hours. It's been a while since I fucking hated a movie or that I've left a movie just beat to shit. Like, I'm just so tired, and part of it was I genuinely was tired.
You're just turning into Orange Cassidy. I'm so tired.
I'm so tired. I'm like literally shin kicking the movie. 2.5. This I watched the half in the bag today for it, and they were like, this is a 90-minute movie that was stretched an hour too long, and I could not agree more.
You're not wrong. It's not wrong.
And that's how you properly credit a YouTube video. There was an hour of this movie that needed to be cut out at a minimum. I've already said it's not about anything. I don't need to go over that again. That's why I said I don't have a lot to add to what I've already said. I know everyone loves to be open, like a good friend of the show, Ronnie Adams, who will be on a couple more triple features throughout the end of the year. Maybe not after this. Yeah, see if I have any friends still.
His resignation is in the mail, along with Anthrax.
along with Chris but he being representative of most people think the opening sequence is the best one. Maybe if it had been about 20 minutes shorter. That opening train sequence goes on way too fucking. I don't even care about the uncanny valley Harrison Ford. That didn't bother me, though. He does look a little doughy and a little waxy. Whatever, it's digital de-aging. I get it. Here's my thing about that. I would rather them not digitally de-age an 80-year-old man and just get a stunt double and change his face. Do something else, but my problem with the digital de-aging, unless you're going to do a Carrie Fisher job at the end of Rogue One where all she has to do is stand there and look pretty, getting an 80-year-old to do fucking action sequences is horrible. It's just, it doesn't work for me. Like they have to shoot around him, and they essentially the joke about Jennifer Lopez not being able to move like she used to, so everyone dances around her to make it look like she's mobile. That's what they have to do with Indiana Jones. They have to. That
joke was about Mariah Carey.
It might have been about both. They have to move.
Oh, we had the same. You and I had the same thing about The Irishman, where it's like, okay, so this is supposed to be 50-year-old De Niro,
right?
But it's 80-year-old De Niro, so 50-year-old De Niro is moving like 80-year-old De Niro, and it becomes obvious. Very.
Like they're having to. It's like a student film. They, in order to create the effect they want, they have to shake the camera, stuff like that. Like they have to throw things hither and yon, shake the camera, all of this because Harrison Ford can't move because he's 80. Maybe don't do this then. Recast the role, or I don't know, stop. But instead, they go full on into let's get the geriatric guy to do stunts that we should be getting a stunt double or a 20-year-old for. It drove me nuts, and I'm sorry. I'm like, no, people love that opening thing, and it felt like an Indiana Jones movie.
Closest this movie got to it.
All I saw was a doddering old man with a Halloween mask on, being in essentially the Twister ride at Universal Studios. I don't know if you've ever been on this thing, but essentially you stand on a platform and it shakes. It drove me fucking nuts. And it's the best part of the movie outside of the very, 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 very end, where Karen Allen walks in.
The desperately reshot at the last minute ending because all of our other endings.
I don't even care about any of that. Honestly, the only part of this movie that I even had a remotely positive reaction to was where does it hurt? And I'll tell you, I hate myself because I watched that and I'm like, in Raiders of the Lost Ark, it made sense. Indiana Jones is like, everything hurts. I've been beat to shit this entire movie.
Just dragged behind a truck for 3 miles on the dirt road.
And she's trying to, it's like, good God, if you've ever had to deal with a partner, it's like, I'm trying to help you. Get off me. Everything hurts and I'm tired and sad and I don't want to be touched anymore. And she's like,
just want to go to bed.
I was like, let me love you. And he's like, get off me. And she's like trying to reach him. Again, the subtext of the scene, people used to know how to write. And she's like, well, where doesn't it hurt, you fucking asshole? Here. And he points to his elbow. Look, you bitch, it doesn't hurt here. And she's like, okay, let's rub that. And then she's kissing, and it's really sweet. And it's like, she calms him down. That scene is magic. And
It really is.
And I had this moment of, it was sweet to see them do it again. And I hate myself that I think that, because it's garbage. It is yet again another example of putting something in a movie that was like entertaining or meaningful the first go around and doing it again, not knowing, without any of the context, not knowing why it's meaningful. But
if you don't
ahead.
have an emotional attachment to Raiders, that scene means nothing.
Yeah.
If
Right.
you don't have an emotional attachment to Raiders, then why the hell are you watching this movie?
I don't know. I'm
Because
just
people
saying.
because people like action movies, and Indiana Jones is famous. That's the answer to that question. But you're right. If you don't remember that scene, or you didn't watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, or or didn't react to it the first time the way that I did, yeah, then watching it again, that scene doesn't even make any fucking sense. They're just doing it. Anyway.
Look, it's a member berry.
Yeah.
That's what that scene in particular. Hey, remember when?
Right. So I loved it, and I hated it, and I hated myself. So that's a great way to end the movie. Mads Mikkelsen is completely, utterly wasted here. He has the one line about, I'm from Alabama. I died. I gotta tell you, I was like half asleep watching this thing. And when I heard him go, I'm from Alabama, and I fucking fell out of my seat laughing.
That's really good. The other really good scene he has, that scene when he's talking with the guy delivering room service.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, oh, so you served. And now you're back here as a cheap bellhop.
Yeah, you could tell that bellhop was just like, I swear to God, I want to slug you so bad.
And it's such a great bit of him just being this utterly smarmy. Yeah, I was over there. I put those guys on the moon.
It is
I'm
amazing
important.
to me. The
You
only
fought.
person...
You enjoy. Are you enjoying the spoils of your victory? Like it's such a great shithead line. Like it's so good.
It is amazing to me in the last couple of movies that we've reviewed over the course of the summer, the only two villains that weren't utterly wasted were the High Evolutionary and Jason Momoa. Everybody else, fucking Michael Shannon in The Flash, Mads Mikkelsen in this.
What about Jack Black as Bowser?
Okay, he gets a pass. It's just, what are we doing with the villains in these movies? It's just like, you're here to do bad stuff. Okay, but why and how and what about it? No, none of that shit matters. Just do bad shit. Again, it's fucking bad guy pornography. Everything's porn. Why is everything porn? Says the porn guy.
Because we've lost subtext, and dude, like that's all Jason Momoa's character is the worst iteration of the Joker.
And Jack Sparrow. Anyway, so that Alexis can have her say, and give the people who like, please say something positive before I fucking slit my wrist listening to you two. Hang on, Alexis is coming to save the day. But I don't think of anything else about this movie. The final sequence actually would have worked for me. Like the planes flying into that battle with the dragoons and all of that, at least was so over the top silly that I was mildly entertained, and I was more mildly entertained by any other piece of shit scene in the rest of this fucking movie. And then they ruined it. So again, this movie is a lot of the same thing. And I'm going to spell this out for people because I've used this metaphor before. This movie is kind of like having decent to the best sex you've ever had, and right before you're about to climax, the girl going, "Ill, get off me." Like every fucking scene is like that. And then this one is like, oh, come on, like at least this one. Right? This one you went so over the top silly. This is spectacular. I'm seeing stars. I'm seeing color. Everything. This is like the most happening thing in this movie, and it's ruined by just leave me here to die. Just leave me here to die. And I felt like Harrison Ford in that moment. Just fucking kill me. Just leave me here. I'm with a date at the time, and I'm just like, just leave me here to die. I don't want to live anymore. Fucking leave me in the theater at the AMC Veterans in Tampa. Just fucking leave me here to die with this property because I don't know what else to say anymore. I'm screaming into the void. I'm now where Robert Winfree has been for the last 10 years, and I had like to apologize to you. I'm fucking sorry for doing this to you.
We have cookies. Welcome to this part of the curve.
It is amazing how many times in this podcast over the last 10 years something fucking completely broke me, and I'm looking at you going, I'm sorry, Robert, because now I know what you go through weekly. Ugh. Alexis?
Are you sure you're done?
No, but go anyway.
Just cut him off. He's used to being talked over by.
I'm gonna keep drinking.
Okay. Yeah, the movie has flaws. It will never hold a candle to the original trilogy.
There might be one or two things wrong with it.
Let her talk.
I'm trying.
No, you guys have already pointed out enough of the flaws, okay? I'm not going to retread on that.
Please don't.
I'm not going to.
I know. I'm with you.
What color are you changing? That is not a color that any human being should be.
I'm going to send you unsolicited pictures of my genitalia if you don't keep going.
We're about 2 weeks away from that being a felony, so you might want to do it while you still can.
Hang on, I'll be right back.
Okay, yeah. No, Indiana Jones has always been a very special franchise for me growing up. It was my dad's favorite. He used to dress like Indiana Jones when he took me and my friends trick-or-treating when I was a kid. I actually got a bomber jacket that he used to wear because he loved Indiana Jones's bomber jacket. So I've got the hand-me-down bomber jacket.
Okay, your personal question.
What?
A serious personal question. You're gonna think I'm fucking with you, but I'm not. Do you like, in terms of like fashion, do you like play around with, like, gender norms? Because I'm hearing you talk about like wearing a bomber jacket and dressing as Indiana Jones. Is that like I just like the character, or you like do you kind of like? Because I know some people very close to me. It's not a drag thing per se, but they absolutely like to play around with fashion gender norms. Like, is that a thing that you do, or?
I don't really look at it as fashion gender norms. I think I look awesome in a bomber jacket. So
Okay.
I
It's
have
very specific to that jacket.
yeah, no, it's not so much a thing of it's a dude's thing. So I want to wear, and I'm massacring the proper language here. Sorry, folks. No, my dad wore the bomber jacket when I was a kid, and then I got it as a hand me down, and I loved it. And I thought I looked really good, and then I wore it for years.
Cool.
Those things are comfy, warm as hell, and I think they're quite stylish. All right. So yeah, Raiders is also my husband's favorite movie. We watch the original trilogy all the time. We have it on DVD, and I actually just binged all 4 movies this last week before I had to go to Austin. Binged them on Disney Plus, that is. So always love this franchise. You know, obviously don't love Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I used to say that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull I thought was better than Temple of Doom, but going back and rewatching it, I was like, no, I was totally wrong there. Temple of Doom is far better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And I watched this movie going, this is also much better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which I admit is a fairly low hurdle. But as I was talking about before the podcast started, Mark, we watch so many movies that we walk out and we go, why in God's name did I agree to watch this piece of shit for the network? There's been so many movies.
The content, baby.
Yeah, there have been so many movies where it's just like, no, I don't want to suffer. Or as I'm going to call it from now on, the Velma effect. The effect of, I don't care if it's buzzworthy, I ain't watching this shit. This is a movie that did not get me that angry. I had fun. I enjoyed it. There are flaws, but I still walked out with a smile. The action scenes, yeah, they were kick-ass. The chase scene through Tangiers was freaking phenomenal. I greatly enjoyed it. Sorry, I had a little hiccup there with my computer.
No, I did it. We were doing it at the same time. You and I are pulling and pushing on the same penis. Keep going.
I appreciate that my brother on here chiming in. Don't know how they went from Indiana Jones 3 to number 5, but here we are.
Keep going.
Yeah. So what can I say? Yeah, the movie's got some flaws, but I still had a good time. I didn't even mind the MacGuffin. Yeah, it's got. There are parts of it if you overthink it, it's like, wait, how does that work? But I went into this movie saying I'm not going to overthink this. I went into this movie just saying I'm just going to have fun with it, and I did. You know, I thought it was great to see Harrison Ford doing what he does best. I thought he did a really good job with the role. I didn't think Fleabag was that annoying. I thought she was okay, but admittedly, I also have not seen anything else this actress has done. So I'm just going off of what she gave here, but I also know that when it was announced she may be taking over the role of Laura Croft in a future franchise, that sent at least 5 of you wanting to go to the hospital.
What a terrible decision that's going to be for Amazon. Just terrible.
Yeah. Either way, the action was fun. I thought the special effects were pretty good. The CGI was a hell of a lot better than Crystal Skull. At least this one doesn't have Shia LaBeouf swinging with monkeys. Horrible CGI monkeys.
My favorite horrible CGI reference is the anthills. That's fucking great. That was straight out of Congo.
Yeah. Although the anthills, I say, still looked a lot better than the monkeys. No. I loved the opening scene. I'm sorry. I thought the de-aging looked great. I had fun with it.
Hang on. Let me bridge the gap between you two here. The technological aspect of the facial de-aging on Harrison Ford is genuinely phenomenal. There's a physicality issue that it just can't get around.
Sorry, I still liked it. I liked Mads Mikkelsen. He always plays a great villain, and I liked him in this.
Dude, I love my admiration for Mads Mikkelsen and his ability is well documented here, and I just wish they'd given him something useful to do.
Yeah, like I said, the only joke I made with the casting, again, was Boyd Holbrook, because apparently the only role he can get is just soulless killer. That's literally all he does.
Oh, come on. He was the father of an autistic child who was the key to future human evolution. The Predator said so.
I snorted that.
You obviously never saw him as the Corinthian in The Sandman.
You know, between this and Doctor Strange, I'm wondering if
Mads Mikkelsen... Hang on. That the guy with the
teeth for eyes, yes.
Yeah, I bailed on Sandman after like 5 episodes. I didn't enjoy it, so I stopped.
Yeah, he was also one of the, I can't remember exactly what the names of the antagonists were exactly, but one of the lead ones in Logan.
Yeah, he gets killed by all the mutant kids at the end. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, so I know, right?
I'm wondering if Mads Mikkelsen wants to like punch out his agent between being the villain in this and being the villain in Doctor Strange, and probably more I'm not thinking of. Where it's like, is there any possible way I can get a good franchise movie where I'm not a shitty villain?
He played Hannibal Lecter.
Right. Is there any movie?
Yeah,
I was going to say, you want a franchise? He was freaking
Alexis,
Hannibal.
We reviewed all 3 seasons of that. I'm clearly not talking about Hannibal. I'm talking about these fucking big IP movies that he does, where he's like, "We got you this great villain role," and it's like, ugh, again.
And the whole problem with Caecilius, the whole problem with him and Caecilius with Doctor Who was not his fault. That character was just very underwritten because the villain was not meant to be meant to be the main pole of that film.
Yeah. I'm not putting that on him. I'm saying like every time he getting excited about doing like a high IP villain role, and then the role turns out to be garbage. Like, poor guy. And I'm wondering if he wants to like hit his agent over it. Like, stop putting me in these things. Anyway, keep going.
He was good in Rogue One.
Yeah.
He wasn't the villain in Rogue One, but he was good in it.
He was good in it.
Yeah. Guys, there's nothing else for me to say, all right? Everything I point out, I know you guys are going to pick to death. I liked the action scenes. I liked the opening scene with the train. I liked a lot of the characters. I liked the villains. I even liked the point of the MacGuffin that it led back to Syracuse, okay? I'm sorry. I thought that was kind of fun. So I have nothing else to say about this movie except I walked out with a smile on my face. My husband was with me. He had a smile on his face. He said he greatly enjoyed it. I said, yeah, that was fun. And then I walked home.
Yeah, but that's the thing, Alexis. But going all the way back to the beginning of the podcast, I said that you guys are again, because I don't think people are understanding me. It is perfectly okay to watch a bunch of vacant, empty action scenes because they are visually effective. And the fact that you watch them and it brought joy to you is not something I have a real quarrel with. It's asking me to look deeper into this movie. And so here's the thing. Here's the thing, because I'm thinking about Chris Bailey and like his whole thing in our chat and what he's going to come back after he hears this with. And he's going to be like, but me, Alexis, Ronnie, and you know, the 60 million people domestic that watch this, we didn't want to analyze this movie. We didn't want to dig into it. This wasn't meant to be picked apart and analyzed. And I'm like, you're probably right, but we're going to do that anyway because that's what we do here. So there's the people that go into this going, show me the action porn. I'm here for it, and I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to go home and not think about this anymore. And this movie was very effective for that. And then there's but there's people who like to dissect things and deconstruct them. And then there's, and then the counter is that, but not everything is meant for that. Not everything should be. And I was like, who are you to tell me what I can deconstruct and what I can't? Because here's the thing about that. You can't control as an artist how people are going to react to your art. You can't control how people are going to what they're going to do with it once you put it out in the world. I put this podcast out in the world. I have no idea for the 12 people that see it. I have no idea how people are going to react to this, what they're going to do with it, what parts of this they're going to cut out and repost elsewhere, what I'm going to get comments on. I'm making a statement. People are going to react to it. I have zero control over how that goes. So James Mangold puts this out in the world, and the Alexis Hejnas and Ronnie Adams and Chris Bailey's of the world going, yay, I had fun. That's probably more of what they were going for. But the Mark Radulich and the Robert Winfree is going, okay, but I dug into this thing because that's what I do. I do that with everything, and I found nothing. I hit concrete, and it's frustrating. And there's room in this world for both, is my point.
Admittedly, I will side with one thing, and that is for building up a fifth Indiana Jones film, for something that was supposed to, erase Kingdom of the Crystal Skull from our minds, what was supposed to be the official going out with a bang for one of the most iconic action movie characters of the 20th century. I feel like they could have done better. I will admit that when you actually do sit down and realize what this movie was supposed to be, I can understand a lot of critics arguing they wanted more. I can understand a lot of people saying this should have been something else. Hell, I also really understand all the arguments pointing out that Ke Huy Quan should have been the one who came back to play this role, and we should have had him in Fleabag's role. Hell, I would have loved it if that had actually been the plot. I mean, how cool would it have been? It's like, Short Round shows up and it turns out he's fallen on hard times and he's become a black market smuggler. I think it could have been really great to have him in the role. And
it would have been better. It would have been better than to create an entirely new out of whole cloth Kathleen Kennedy insert.
The fact that they didn't even reference him when there was a very obvious chance to. I mean, there's that bit when Fleabag's like, he tried to steal from me.
Yeah, exactly.
How does Indiana Jones not go, I had one of those once. Great kid.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost word from word from Temple of Doom.
Yeah, no, we can't reference him because people might then go, well, why isn't he here?
All right, Robert, get it.
Okay, so I don't know what to say about this movie. Here's my biggest gripe with this movie. There's a handful that just really annoyed me. One, some of the chases and some of the effects are good. Some of it was obviously reshot and is green screened pretty badly. That entire last bit in Syracuse is so painfully green screened. It hurts. It genuinely hurts.
Actually, that reminds me, when you're done talking, there is something I want to ask you guys about that ending. Okay. But please finish your diatribe first.
Okay. There's a bunch of green screening. This is a badly written movie. My hunch is because I look at this movie and I go, how did this cost $300 million?
$330 million.
And I have to answer myself in the following way. They shot this movie 3 times and then cut and pasted the different parts together. Watch the trailer. There's a bunch of stuff in the trailer that is not in the movie. That's not always the most uncommon thing, but knowing what we know now about how this movie plays, look at how much of that stuff, like, you can see where they cut it out. This movie was, I've heard the phrase scrapbooked, and I've been using it. If you shoot 3 different movies and then cut them together and focus group and screen and recut and re-edit and reshoot and focus group and screen and recut and re-edit and reshoot and yada over and over and over again, you get this movie. There is no emotional cohesion to any of it. And that's maybe the biggest, for all the other flaws I have that exist in this movie, and there's a boatload of them. if there was a consistent emotional tone and emotional journey for this movie, it would have worked. It would have worked better. Doesn't exist. The beginning with Indy being sad, depressed, alone, broken down, etc., and the ending where he becomes okay with it, basically, that's the closest we get, and basically in the middle, save one scene when Harrison Ford talks about the death of Shia LaBeouf, it's not brought up at all other than to make fun of him for being old and slow and broken down. And to have him just, be a step behind Fleabag at 90% of the 90% of the junctions. This is more her movie than his. You couldn't even come up with a legitimate reason for Indiana Jones to go on this adventure, so you frame him for murder in the dumbest way possible? Like, what are we doing here? There's nothing here to the story. If you're to say nothing of how you had to like scrape at the bottom of the barrel for your bit at the end being he just wants to stay in the past and die. Like, no, you have to earn that, and you don't. This movie doesn't at all. And so there's no real emotion to any of it. And let's talk about Phoebe Waller-Bridge for a second.
Do we have to?
Yes. Here's the problem with that character, and I'm cribbing from a few other people who have phrased this better than I would have. This script does not know what it wants her to be. Is she a charming, roguish character? No, she's not that charming. Is she a femme fatale? She's not that attractive. Is she a gung-ho, naive adventurer? No, she's too cynical. Is she a cynical, world-weary, curmudgeon? No, she's actually too naive and excited about the adventure. Like, you're trying to have this poor actress.
She's Poochie.
She is. I know. Like, they don't know what they want to do with her. All the reports about some of the early stuff out of this movie being her just belittling Indiana Jones for the entire movie, I have no problem believing, having seen it now. No problem believing that, because she does it as it stands for about 80%. I don't understand how anyone could be so self-deluded as to look at this character, this characterization, and this performance and go, this is someone audiences will follow.
It does go to the bubble that Hollywood's in versus the rest of the world, doesn't it?
This character tries to kill Indiana Jones twice. She locks him in with a bunch of murderers and then tells Moroccan authorities to shoot him. Actual lines of dialogue. Tries to get rid of him, belittles him, diminishes him. Appreciate my brother knowing the line, but are you thinking about her anytime she's not on screen like we think about Poochie? And this terrible person, look, if you want to try and tell me that your goal with this character was to take her on a journey from being selfish and worldly to being having greater self-awareness and caring about the people around her, I can appreciate the intent. It does not come across. This is a terrible person, selfish, self-centered, egotistical, cares nothing about anything she leaves in her wake at all. And at the end, we're supposed to believe that suddenly she cares about our hero? No! You didn't earn that. You didn't change anything. There was no journey. There was no arc. There was nothing. Piss off. I'm not susceptible to crappy nostalgia bait, so consequently the vast majority of the nostalgia bait here does nothing for me. And it's a little bit painful when they try to pull it off. This movie, you mentioned it, it's overlong. The action is soulless, pointless, and most of the time doesn't land. It's a mess. This is a mess of a movie that tries to set up a terrible character to be the new hero that nobody cares about. And I mean, Kathleen Kennedy came out after, like, right before the movie was dropping, like, so well, we'll see. And crappy access media asking the canned questions. So are we going to see more of Helena Shaw? Well, yeah, we might. No, we won't. I guarantee you we won't. This movie is just the kid. There's ways to have fixed this. I think it's kind of what kills me about this. You can see elements of the bones here that, like, okay, this needed to be fixed. This needed to be expanded upon. This needed to be cut. This needed to be tweaked. And there's no care given to it. There's the studio mandates, and we do that. And James Mangold was a good little soldier, made a crappy movie, reshot it, made it a little less crappy, reshot it, made it crappier, re-edited it, reshot an ending. When Harrison Ford and John Williams both come out and say, yeah, the last thing we shot was the ending a couple of weeks before the film went out, I believe them. I know your original endings were worse than that one, and you just couldn't get one that the audience didn't revolt at. So here we are. Congratulations, Lucasfilm.
Okay.
You have taken everything that you might have had valuable, and you have utterly annihilated it. Good job.
That's not the problem. The problem is they have annihilated it, and they don't even know they've done it. They're sitting there going, why haven't these awesome things that we've done worked out? Which is the worst part about this, is that like this is like dealing with a narcissist that that's not aware of the shit they're doing and the things and the people they're hurting, and you just want to shake them and be like,
why can't you get behind space horses charging across a Star Destroyer and Rey Palpatine with 2 lightsabers doing I am all the Jedi? This is the best thing ever, and everyone just vomiting in the studio,
again,
in the audience. Dealing
with Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm and somewhat to a lesser degree Greater Hollywood is like, again, trying to get a narcissist to admit that they've done wrong and be sincerely apologetic about it and try to change. They're like, no, the narcissist looks back at you and goes, you're the one that's wrong. I'm perfect. I've done nothing wrong. I've done nothing wrong, screams Kathleen Kennedy as every single one of these projects bombs like D-Day.
As Bob Iger hires the Pinkertons to eject her from Lucasfilm. Her getting dragged out of those. She's gonna have to be dragged kicking and screaming out of those offices.
Robert, you and I have never met in real life, but can we?
Hang on. Before we do that, Alexis, you had a question.
Wait, no, hang on.
Okay.
Okay.
2 things. One, and then Alexis can have the last word, and then we can go into the next part. But if we know ahead of time the day Kathleen Kennedy is being dragged out of fucking Lucasfilm office or Disney office, can we please, you and I, take a road trip to just throw like cabbages and shit at her?
I would be down. You have no idea.
Just me and you just need to be sitting there going, boo, Kathleen Kennedy. Here's what I really wanted to say.
I want to stand on a building across the street and just launch fish at her.
Honestly, I figured you two would be getting the confetti guns and popping the champagne when she's dragged out.
No, that's for us, not for her. That's for us.
Yeah. Rob's like, I don't drink, but yeah.
No. I'll get cherry Coke. You can have the booze.
Actually, go ahead, Alexis.
Okay, so first things first. There is one thing I was about to bring something up, but then it made me think of something else. There is one thing that I think all 3 of us will give positive comments for, and that is John Williams' score. Yep. The fact that
1,000,000%.
It's like the music in this movie was amazing, and
John Williams is still the GOAT.
Yeah, I just love that he came back and he was able to give us a brand new twist on the classic theme and really bring it, and just gave us an amazing job. He did an amazing job. If he decides to retire after this, I will say bravo and insist we all give him a standing ovation.
Agreed. And I remember what it was I was going to say. I am a fan of criticism. Not of me, but I mean,
well, you can lose a few pounds.
It hurts me. No, I am a fan of the genre of criticism. I enjoy watching YouTube videos on it. I enjoy reading about it. It is a thing that I like. I like to read other people's or watch other people's deconstruction of things. Very often I have found that, and I brought this up with The Flash last week because, again, my kids and I watched it. We had a good, much like Alexis and her husband. This is why I am sympathetic to you and the Baileys and the Ronnies of the world. I walked out of The Flash and I'm like, I had a good time with this. I know when I review it, I'm going to fucking hate it and I'm going to hate myself, but just the ethereal experience of watching The Flash with my kids and having that enjoyment was a good time for me. And then we were in the car and we listened to The Critical Drinker, and my son goes, I now feel bad about myself.
as he should.
Yeah, it's like, I feel bad that I like this movie, The Critical Drinkers, that I'm wrong. Here's the thing, and this is the point. And
I said, dude, I said you were a bad person if you liked it, pretty much.
Yeah, that was your whole shtick. But I'm being very serious here because I'm going to say something and it's going to hurt someone's feelings, but they need to hear it. This whoever you are, including anyone on the show, from what I'm about to say hurts your feelings. Sorry, but also you need to hear this. If your ego integrity is not strong enough to hear someone else's differing opinion than yours without your opinion being changed or you feeling bad about yourself, that's your fucking problem. That is your fucking problem. I am not here, nor is Robert, nor is Alexis, nor anyone else is here to coddle your opinion and your feelings because they're different from ours. I listen to plenty of critics that I don't agree with. I love the Red Letter Media guys. That is appointment viewing for me. On the way home to get my kids today, I listened to their review of the new Indiana Jones movie. Anytime they put up a half in the bag, I am right there. I listen to the Critical Drinker stuff. I listen to Midnight's Edge. I listen to a lot of people's critically acclaimed. That's also appointment listening for me. Yep. I don't agree with them many times. Many times I think they've reached the wrong conclusions, but I'm a fan of the genre and I'm interested in other people's opinions and minds. And I, Mark Radulich, have strong enough ego integrity that I can hear someone. Listen, I don't know if anyone knows this, but there's this guy, Robert Winfree, who's on this podcast that I don't agree with anything he said for 10 fucking years.
Well, that's not true.
we have sat here for countless hours I took away from my wife and kids to sit here and scream at each other about Michael Bay Transformers movies, nearly coming to blows over an Ant-Man movie, nearly ending our friendship because of Mortal Kombat and tooth pain.
Yeah, that was dental pain.
And then rekindling your friendship over the Banshees of Inisherin.
Exactly. My point is, at no time,
or Mark just venting his anger at the world on me during our Deadpool review.
Yeah, well, there's that too. Oh, the memories hashtag. My point is, at no time did I question my likes, dislikes, opinions, or self-worth because Robert Disick or the Critical Drinker or Midnight's Edge or Doug Walker or any one of Elizabeth, any one of Alexis's husbands that she thinks know anything about movies. None of these people get me to sit down and go, "Oh, now I feel bad about myself for liking something." No, fuck them and fuck you too. I have my own opinions. Sometimes I'm in agreement with them, and sometimes I'm not. And I'm really tired of people coming at us going, "Gosh, you make me feel bad about my opinions." I'm sorry. I don't know what you want me to say. Like, it's a big world out there. There's 300 million people just in this country alone. We're not always going to agree. It's okay. It's okay to disagree. For the love of Christ, it's okay to disagree.
Yeah, it's not, Mark. I got to disagree with you there.
Okay, so... oh, damn. That time I didn't press the button.
No, right, I did that intentionally. I knew what he'd do.
All right, are we ready to do the money now?
Hang on.
The one question I was going to ask, I was going to bring it up because
about John Williams. You actually
hang on. No, something else.
No. Okay, because what I was about to say was John Williams confirmed in an interview that they had to redo the ending and he had to write a completely different score for the ending. And that's what reminded me of, oh shit, we never actually gave any praise to John Williams in this review. And I wanted to make sure that we said something.
That's fair.
No, but the question I was going to bring up is, knowing what we know now and having seen it, where do you think the original ending cut? What do you think was the new ending? What do you think was added in?
The entire final bit, because Harrison Ford has talked about this in other interviews. Yeah, they're
Can you do it in
foreign language.
50 words or less?
Hmm?
Can you do this in 50 words or less, then I can move on?
Yeah, hang on. So Harrison Ford in some other interviews has talked about the last thing he shot was with Karen Allen. And that was the last bit of reshoots that they did, which was done a couple of weeks before the movie was released. They couldn't find a good ending. I will stand by the following, man. He was going to die there, and Fleabag was going to take the hat.
Mhm.
That's what was going to happen.
Or do you think maybe Fleabag was going to leave him there and take the hat back to what was there present, but he was actually going to stay in the past?
Well, no,
No,
I thought
he
the
was
ending.
gonna-
I thought
he-
the ending was that young Indiana Jones and old Indiana Jones team up, and
Well,
young
that
Indiana
was
Jones dies, and then she picks up the hat and whip.
my hunch was that was earlier draft.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine that was shot. Like, I have a hunch.
That's what I'm saying. Like, look, up until I think here's the quick answer, and then we got to move on. The original ending was he dies, she takes over. They showed that to people. They proceeded to throw their genitalia at the screen along with their pants, their clothing, and a small child. And Disney went, well, maybe this isn't going to work with the greater population, and changed it. And then that's the end of the movie. That's it.
Yeah, they've tried again. They had a few different endings lined up. They apparently had like 4 or 5 different ones at one point, and just couldn't get one that would resonate.
This is the same problem with Rise of Skywalker. Maybe we should have a fucking finished movie before we start shooting.
What's the fun in that?
All right.
You're not wrong there.
With that said, let's move on to the money.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
Hey, hang on, last bit before we get, as the screen loads up for us here.
Mm-hmm.
If you want some evidence to support that conclusion, look at the number of times throughout this movie that she has his hat. As a little girl, she gives it back to him. She takes it from him a couple of times. I would darn near guarantee the ending they were going to try to go with was he dies saving her in the past. The watch that is on Archimedes is the same one that he takes back from the kid, so it was technically his father, so Sean Connery's watch. And she takes the hat back, and she kind of just carries the legacy going forward into the 70s, and riots would have broken out.
All right.
I
On a
would have been in
budget
the
of
middle of it.
on a reported budget, and this is, for those that don't know, there's a tendency to underreport. We don't really get into it. I don't have the time or the patience, so I just kind of read from the Wikipedia page. But the going statement from many that on the insiders is that these budgets that are set on Wikipedia are way underreported. So
20 million or so, 20 to 50.
The reported budget for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is $300 million. This is one of the most expensive movies ever made, and it's going to be one of the biggest flops to ever happen in Hollywood. This is monumental. Like, for people outside of like film nerds, you're like, who the fuck cares? This is going to have repercussions. This is going to have a butterfly effect on the film industry for the next 20 years.
Look, if you don't mind, 2 things before we get into the specific numbers for Indy and whatnot. One, the age of the mega blockbuster is probably dead, and I'm not even necessarily sure that's a bad thing, but it's dead. Like, it's relying on $1 billion picture is dead, right?
Yeah,
we're dead. Second, there's some interesting rumors coming out about Lucasfilm and Kennedy. And look, people have been saying, oh no, she was going to get fired after the first Star Wars movie. No, that was never going to happen. But people like doing it because people don't like Kathleen Kennedy. So reporting about her imminent demise gets you traffic, and traffic is king in the news business, not accuracy. With Star Wars dead, with the Acolyte costing like tens of millions of dollars an episode, with Disney Plus kind of in the crapper, and now with Indiana Jones being a historic bomb, my hunch is in about 6 months she's going to voluntarily step down.
Voluntarily, as in there's probably a gun against her back.
Yeah, she's going to get told you can do the stairs or the window.
Yeah. And with
in the stomach or in the face?
That's what I tell my girlfriend.
I'd start at the knees and work my way up because I'm mean. What's the other one? Yeah, there's like rumors that her internal email has been temporarily suspended. Like she's gonna take vacation time and they're gonna like get rid of her. It's again, man. Look, that was
when I was in college, I had like an opening for a screenplay, and I'd never had like a story developed out of it, but I had like a really cool opening, and it was like somebody in like a Breaking Bad-esque cabin in the woods, you know, like kind of hiding from the world, and there's an ominous knock at the door, and the guy says, "I've come here to kill you," and the person answering the door goes, "You're late." That's Kathleen Kennedy.
Not wrong. Not wrong. Again, like that. Well, here's the thing: Disney has to have some serious bloodletting, and if you look at some of the last people they fired, the VP of effects for the MCU that everyone thought was untouchable. They fired.
Well, they should have after what they okayed with Quantumania.
You are not wrong. They fired their diversity officer. Thankfully, there was somebody. They fired their CFO. Like the person who was kind of being groomed to take over the CEO job at one point, they fired her. We're at a point with Disney where, 5 years ago, firing Kennedy, like it might have made the nerds happy, but everyone else would have kind of gone, but why? This is successful. What are you doing? We ain't there anymore.
No, right. Now you got people, like I said, pulling out the confetti guys going, farewell, au revoir, go to hell, Shambolian, because the con is finally over.
As of July 4th in the year of our Lord 2023, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destitution has grossed $82 million in the U.S. and Canada and $70 million in other territories for a worldwide gross of $152 million. In the U.S. and Canada,
it won 60 worldwide.
Yeah.
Oh, that was when they were reporting. That was the projection. Like even that's low.
I know.
Oh,
I gotta, because this came up in our chat. So I share a lot of news in our chat so that when we have these discussions, we have like a base knowledge, but also because I find this stuff interesting. And and my reaction to it is, this thing is bad. This is upsetting that it's bad. I'm having a natural reaction to a stimuli that is bad. And the reaction I get back is, why are you rooting for this thing to fail? I'm like, I'm not. I'm reacting. I'm reacting normally to normal stimuli. And it's like, why can't you enjoy things? It's like, this isn't about, at some point, this isn't about enjoying things anymore. This is recognizing the reality of my life. And that reality is that this thing didn't do well. That for all the pomp and circumstance and marketing and hope and money,
yeah, again,
300. It failed. It just fucking failed. That's not me not enjoying it. I didn't enjoy it, but I have enjoyed plenty of things that have failed. Anyone remember Cocaine Bear? That's what kills me. Is like I sat here for weeks and weeks and weeks, just like Cocaine Bear. It didn't do that well, and it wasn't that great. Oh, that's sad. like this doesn't happen to me ever.
Yeah, bear in mind, 330 give or take $1 million budget, probably 150 marketing.
Yeah. Like
this needed to do somewhere between 900 and $1 billion to start seeing profit. You ain't getting anywhere near that.
Yeah, I don't remember what the opening weekend for either Avatar 2 or Endgame were, but it needed to do that.
Yeah,
at least. Anyway, this isn't me saying I didn't enjoy it. That's a separate conversation. This is it did bad. That's fact. That is just facts. Can't wait for people to start listening to this podcast when it's finally done. The Wrap claimed that Americans under the age of 30 had a much lower presence in ticket pre-sales compared to the average summer 10 poll. The fuck, man. And that the film's tracking...
Why does that surprise anyone?
And that the film's tracking was also underperforming in Asian markets. I don't want to drag this out to be 9 hours, but can we just talk about that for a second? That George Lucas and Steven Spielberg made an action-adventure film based on the action serials of their youth, which was resonant with people their age at that time. The Raiders of the Lost Ark came out in what, 81? It's early 80s.
Yeah,
because I'm in elementary school. Like I'm like 5 or 6 when that comes out. And my parents are in their 30s. It resonates. So for kids who saw it, it's an action adventure film, and action adventure is fun for children. For parents my age, they're the same age as Lucas and Spielberg. This is the shit they saw as kids. So you have two generations right there that are into it. And then it went into, I think, the early 90s with The Last Crusade. So you have another generation of kids behind me, your guys' generation, my wife's generation, that are also into the Indiana Jones. And then nothing worthwhile for years. And I'm throwing Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in there. So
30,
a couple of things.
We're over 30 years removed from
So you
Crusade.
You don't have the cultural context that made this popular with a crowd anymore. That's gone. The stuff that Indiana Jones draws from hasn't been relevant in like 50, 60 fucking years now. The people that like this movie 30 years ago, 40 years ago are either dead or old or don't care anymore. And nothing has come behind it to make new fans unless you have fuckers like me dragging their kids to it. Like my kids saw Temple of Doom and liked it. How many of there are me making their kids watch this? Not enough to save this movie. Not enough to get a $900 million, billion-dollar fucking gate. I don't understand how like we figured that out, but people paid six-figure salaries think this shit still resonates with enough people to get a $1 billion gate. Like it's maddening to me.
They just were desperately trying to drag the last thing that Lucasfilm had to its name out into the street and shooting it. That's what we did here.
Yeah. Anyway, the film made $24 million on its first day, including $7.2 million from Thursday night previews. It went on to debut $60.4 million, the second best total of the franchise, not adjusted for inflation, and it finished at the box office. Deadline Hollywood noted that a majority of the opening weekend audience was over the age of 35. Yeah, no shit. Variety said that the lukewarm critical and audience response to the film was in part to blame for the weak opening, and noted its global debut of $130 million was less than The Flash's less than The Flash's $139 million opening 2 weeks prior. Overseas,
probably going to have about as similar a drop to around 70.
Yeah, overseas, the film made $69.6 million from 52 countries, with the largest markets being the UK 8.9, France 5.9, Japan 4.7, Korea.
Shocked that France has theater still open with all that's going on over there, but
4.1 million, Germany 4.1 million, Spain 4 million, Australia 3.8, Italy 2.7, China 2.3. Oh, yikes on that China one. And Mexico 2.3. Well, some good news, some positive news for people waiting desperately for us to say anything positive besides Alexis.
This is not nearly as positive as would like it to be, but here we go.
This is like the Peanuts. We're number one. We're number one. Good for fucking you. Indiana Jones was the number one movie of the weekend in 4,600 theaters. Elemental maintained its spot at number 2. Spider-Man dropped from 1 to 3. No Hard Feelings maintained its spot at number 4. Transformers maintained its spot at number 5. Notice I haven't said Flash yet. Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, debuted at number 6. Have you guys heard this? Have you heard about what's happened with this movie?
I need half a second to talk about Ruby Gillman.
Well, before you do, worst performing DreamWorks movie ever opening weekend.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Oh, how the mighty have from the studio that gave you How to Train Your Dragon and fucking Shrek. Yikes.
Yeah, but Shrek is just a cultural artifact. Doesn't actually matter.
Well, actually, a reminder, their previous film was Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, which
genuinely
you guys had me review, and I gave it a glowing endorsement.
Yes, it made
genuinely good movie.
It made money and was stellar. Before that was The Bad Guy, which was also good and made money.
Yeah.
This, I mean, DreamWorks, not exactly Illumination, but DreamWorks isn't the embarrassment that Pixar or Disney have been. And then this one fucking tripped, fell, and broke its dick. Yikes. Speaking of breaking their dicks, Little Mermaid maintained their spot at number 7. Okay, Robert, you ghoul, you sardonic motherfucker.
I'm the ghoul, huh?
The Flash, 3 to 8.
A second week of a 60% drop. Necromancy doesn't pay. That's what this movie's finale is. It's ghoulish necromancy. You puppeteered the dead for profit, and you're not going to profit. So I spit on you. That movie deserves to burn.
At this point, do you even bother with Aquaman? I mean, like, the Blue Beetle's fine, but like, do you even just take the bath on Aquaman to save yourself the embarrassment?
Like, seriously, they did it with Batgirl. They might as well do it with this.
No, you just
no one's gonna see it because of Amber Heard alone.
I'm aware, but my hunch on that is how do I phrase this? There are actors in play in Aquaman who might have back-end deals that have to be compensated if they don't release it.
Dude, I get what you're saying.
That was not in play with
again, it's the Mindy
Batgirl.
Kaling clause.
Yeah, I understand all of that and I hear you, but like
you might genuinely lose less money than what you would have to pay out for Jason Momoa. There's a chance.
It's just, this is so embarrassing for DC and Warner Brothers. I mean, like, at this point, I'm laughing at them like I laughed at Lionsgate. Like, it's that bad. Asteroid City fell from 6 to 9. Guardians 8 to 10. Rounding at the top 20 are the Bum, your boogeyman. That's what I am. Past Lives, The Blackening, Fast X, Super Mario, Everybody, About My Father, You Hurt My Feelings, the name of this podcast, The Child, and Contempt. And then Millie Lies Low debuted at number 35. What do you mean, why am I like that?
I know why you're like that. It's just what I say to you.
This is fucking rhetorical. I guess this is what you're trying to get at. All right. Worldwide on the dime, Super Mario, over $1 billion still, number 1. Guardians, number 2 at 800.
Guardians petering out. Yeah, it's not going to cross 900.
Fast X is, it's the turtle, it's the tortoise.
No,
it's still. Hey, give credit where credit's due. Like,
less than
it's
7.
It's underperforming. No one's saying it's not, but it's still making money. The fact that it got from where it did, and it's as slow as it's growing, as slow as it's growing, as slow as it's earning money. It may not be earning a profit.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Like, I mean, look, for people like us to track this stuff from week to week, we both looked at that opening weekend total and was like, yeesh. And it's at a crawl, but it's still crawling forward. I mean, like, there were other movies we can compare this to.
It might cross 700 million. That's true.
It only needs another 2. It's at 698.
It's still it's not hitting 725 or 750, but
that's fine. I'm just saying, like, we kind of shit on Fast X money wise, and it's actually like still earning money.
Vin Diesel and Paramount just watching the like watching the stock ticker with this thing.
Yeah, really.
A little more, just a little more.
Come on, baby. More. Daddy needs to do pair shoes.
You get to 700 million, and we're not losing money. Please get there.
Spider-Man at 607, one of the few success stories of the year of our Lord 2023.
Hey, like I said, Sony's pretty much one of the only studios right now that's not considering burning everything down for insurance money.
Yeah, Sony and Universal.
Did you see that there was a fire on the Warner Brothers lot last week?
I tell you, man, some people hear our podcast. It's just like, they're not wrong. Burn this fucker to the ground. Take the insurance money and run.
Yeah.
Hey, I said it before. They're going to torch Cinderella's castle. They're going to blame DeSantis, and they're going to walk away with the money.
I hope. The Little Mermaid still
barely crossing the 500 million.
Yeah,
mark.
It's gonna say. I mean, it's still earning money, but
no, like that thing. Well, look, we did the math on that. That thing needed 800 million to $1 billion.
It's bombed.
Failure.
It's bombed. Failure. I'm just saying it's still earning money.
Well, hang on. Funny story about the Little Mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
The utter denial of like all the media, the Hollywood ecosystem about how badly that movie's doing is comical.
Yeah, it's. People wonder
no one
why
wants to be the one to say the movie with the Black Mermaid is failing.
Hey, yo, people wonder why
nobody wants to line up for the guillotine.
Hey, yo, people wonder why for the last 2 hours I've been screaming the way I have. Maybe I got pushed to this point, you think? And it's shit like that. I'm just so fucking sick of the bullshit. Moving on.
Another flop.
Ant-Man, speaking of flops, Ant-Man and the Wasp just hanging out.
Even on its own terms, $250 million
every single week.
Dude, Ant-Man and the Wasp is just like one of those, is like a fentanyl zombie at the moment. Just
John
half against the side of the building there, just not moving.
Yeah. John Wick, one of the other few success stories of the year, 427. Transformers, 381. Creed, 275. And not even more than Creed just yet. The Flash, 245.
It ain't going to stay there for long.
It might not beat Creed.
And down at number 16, currently between Pathan and Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
Ow!
At
Oh,
a
that
paltry, embarrassing, stroke-inducing.
No. Not only less than Shazam, less than Evil Dead Rise and Scream.
Less than Scream 6. Less than Elemental and
Less
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Depression at $130 million. Y'all can go fuck yourselves. I'm done. Fucking done. Ugh.
The subtitle for Indiana Jones should have been How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Mark, you found you.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Any others you want to go through?
No, I got it.
No, he's good. That's right. I deserve the sad trombone, but
Well, this is more for the.
I know. You were just going through the stuff. It's good.
Anyway, Indiana Jones has another week. Who gives a fuck? Before Mission Impossible comes out and eat your fucking lunch. Mission Impossible at this point, as far as summer blockbusters go, is fucking moose. It's fucking Mongo. Just here comes Fat Albert. He's coming for you. Dude, Mission Impossible is going to run up into school. I'm going to sing a song for you. Just fucking knocking Little Mermaid down, slapping the shit out of the Flash. Nah. Tom Cruise is having a good time. Hey.
Okay, what someone needs to do is like Photoshop Tom Cruise's face onto John Wick, and then just put the titles of other movies as he just machine guns through them.
Yeah, look, that ain't no jive. Fucking Mission Impossible is actually tracking really, really well. Go figure.
Might hit $1 billion. Might.
Yeah. So
but probably gonna do well.
Definitely gonna do better than The Flash.
Your home movie would do better than The Flash at this point.
Yeah, seriously. All right, folks. With that said, here is the critical review.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
The critical review, otherwise known as Eat a Dick, Radulich and Winfree. Jesus, look at those numbers.
You know what? Hang on. For a big summer blockbuster, only 68% on the tomato meter is actually not good. And the audience is just, leaving in tears like, I remember, and the music, and it was so good. And I'll forget about it in 3 weeks, and I've done the clapping like a seal bit, so good for you.
I got to get a clip of like the Walt Disney. Hey, Alexis, go find me that Disney seal. Get it clapping for me. I can put it up on there. But I don't have to keep spazzing out doing this anymore.
I sent you that Animaniacs clip and told you should go ahead and do that. You haven't added that one yet.
Which one?
It's the one where, okay, Robert, you of all people should remember this clip. The Ben Stein character who doesn't shut up and he's shaking Yakko's hand and Yakko goes, well, isn't that interesting? And then he holds up a sign that says, not. I wanted I wanted that to be a clip for any time one of us starts going off on a tangent, totally unrelated, and you need to bring us back down to reality.
That's a good one.
All right. Yes. 88% audience score with over 2,500 verified ratings and 68% with 326 reviews.
For half a second, can we switch between verified and just the gross one and the
Which
net
one?
for both of them?
All right.
Because we did this before with that other one. With that other, I forget how you did it. Because you could just look at the score and then switch between verified and non-verified. Because right now you're going through all the individual ones.
Hang on. So wait, you want for the tomato meter?
Yeah. So
Okay. So top. Okay, what do you want me to do?
do top critics real fast just for the sake of my own curiosity.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Now do all audience. Yeah,
Hey.
8 point. Dude, that's actually a pretty big dip for the audience score in some respects.
Yeah. All right. The chat
Okay.
GPT says
So that's a fun thing we need to do more often. I
Yeah.
think when we do this sometimes.
it isn't as thrilling as earlier adventures, but
You
the
think?
nostalgic rush of seeing Harrison Ford back in action helps Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny find a few final bits of cinematic treasure.
If even the AI is having to lean on nostalgia to justify this film, you know it's bad.
Yeah. Alrighty. Let's see if I can find some fun ones here. I feel like this has been a very negative episode. Which a negative episode of our show? How?
Oh, damn you, Hollywood, skewing negative.
I know.
Heaven forbid.
Like fuck. When are we negative?
What's the world coming to?
Dark
I am
Sky.
a font of positivity, Mark.
Kathleen Kennedy, under her pseudonym Dark Sky Lady, says, while some might enjoy the nostalgia the movie taps into, but Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is too dull and long for me. Well, thank you.
You're not wrong.
Nick Hassett of the Arts Desk, more than his return as Han Solo or Rick Deckard, Dial of Destiny lets Ford go to work as a leading man.
You know,
And I
hang
can see
on.
Russia from my house.
I'm going to say, hang on. That's unhelpful. But as a statement of fact, that is not wrong. This actually does let him do more leading stuff as a kind of general rule.
I actually haven't seen the Blade Runner sequel, so
It's
I'll
mostly about Ryan Gosling. He's in it, but it's more Gosling's movie. Which is
Leonard
not the
Malton
worst.
of LeonardMalton.com. Well, good old Uncle Malty says, I can't say I had high expectations for this film. Oh, really, Leonard? But even so, I consider it a disappointment. Let's revisit Raiders of the Lost Ark and remember when the premise was fresh and the picture was fun to watch. Thanks,
Yeah.
Leonard.
Yes, he got the right meds this time around.
Anthony Morris from my personal blog, It's Better in the Dark. Harrison Ford is a charming and charismatic actor, obviously. And he's the star from start to finish.
Not true.
Not true. Everything else is good enough. It's mostly a fun romp where most of the parts work.
Yeah. Supreme arbiter of fun right here.
some of the parts work.
That's what she said. Adam Olinger of Adam Does Movies, YouTube. We already gave Indiana Jones a terrible send-off 15 years ago. I guess they wanted to turn back the dial and do it all over again.
You're terrible writing, sir. Shame on you for writing that script. Just
Admittedly, though, that was a good line.
Anthony Lane doesn't like anything, but somehow from the New Yorker, former magazine, top critic, like this one. If you really want to rove back and forth through time, you don't need the Dial of Destiny at all. Forget the myth. Screw Archimedes. All you need is the movies.
yeah, but not this movie. You
Wow.
moron.
Somebody wanted a Tick Bird review.
No kidding. Did they threaten to cut the New Yorker off or something?
Really?
Give us a good review or else.
Future ex Mr. Hejna, Doug Walker of Channel Awesome. Very
No one would ever take my name over Walker, for God's sake.
very good takeaway. Very dull and forgettable. Indiana Jones isn't fighting people as much as trying to not get hit. Thank you for that analysis there, Doug Walker.
Can we just talk for a minute about something he's hinting at, like the editing for the fight scenes, trying to get around some of what's going on here? Ooh, not great.
Black Robert Winfree, Armand White of the National Review from Earth's 813. The thrill is gone. Do, 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 do. The thrill is gone. Now that Raiders absolutists can tell the difference. No, sorry. The thrill is gone. Not that Raiders absolutists can tell the difference. Mangold and co-producer Kathleen Kennedy cater to misplaced nostalgia. Hey,
No,
friends,
he is.
instead of picking on my friend in our group chat, just send Armand White your fucking hate mail. It'll be the same thing. It'll get you better results.
Get you on a watch list if you pick on him, though. Not me.
Hey, Armand White, I have problems with your reviews. That's a racism.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares if you make fun of the Mormon, though.
Aw, the poor Mormon. Let's see. Robert Horton of The Scarecrow. The Dial of Destiny does not have a Steven Spielberg directing. What Dial of Destiny does not have a Steven Spielberg directing? And here, folks, is why the auteur theory still rules. It's the difference between a bona fide thrill ride and a fitfully passable multiplex time waster. I'm afraid Indy 5 is the latter.
Okay,
Do you guys
hang on.
think? I was gonna say, do you guys think this movie would have been better if Spielberg had directed it?
I imagine Spielberg's presence and creative vision and personality would not have allowed Kathleen Kennedy to run roughshod over with her self-insert character and trying to demean, diminish, and kill off the hero. So it would have been different. Spielberg's magic is a little iffy at the moment, though. So again, it would have been different. That's the long and the short of what I can say there. For the record, though, if you want to lean heavily on the auteur theory, I've seen way too many really, really crappy auteur movies, my friend. It's not even like Spielberg is some auteur either. Like, he's happy to let other people do the work that they need to do. Oh, who'd you? Oh, you. How?
Because she's on every one of these now.
No. I'm reading what she said and not understanding it.
Well, let me do my. Let's not skip the foreplay. Carla Renata, the curvy film critic, future ex-Mrs. Winfree. Currently my favorite of your exes, by the way. Like, she surpassed Lola Lamb chops, by the way. Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Harrison Ford make The Last Adventure worth the wait, while humanizing a character we have seen as bigger than life. Making Indiana Jones human with losses, loves, and age was wonderful to witness.
What?
I enjoy when
Was
old
it?
white men are torn down and people's heroes are shat upon. I enjoy that as Carla Renata of the.
Notice who she put as
film
top
critic.
billing for this too.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was not an accident. Can we
All right.
argue also they should have brought Drew Struzan back to do the poster again?
Yes.
Ed Whitfield of the Trey, Robert Winfree of the Screaming Boy podcast. Mangold can't find the visual gags in the setups. There's no
True.
joy in the chase.
True.
His solidity as a director is a drag on the film's quest to entertain with the zeal of old. Instead, it feels old. Indiana Jones was never meant to retire.
Lot true in that sentiment. Mangold has a pretty good track record in general. He was the wrong guy for this one.
This is the last one because it's a doozy.
No, hang on. You got to go a little further. I think Jeff's in here somewhere.
Although Sonny Bunch's review there was pretty damn funny.
Yeah, that's the one I'm
This
laughing
is-
at.
This is the one. Like, if we could have ordered these, this would be the one to close on. But
Yeah, unfortunately. Sonny Bunch of the Bulwark. Raiders of the Lost IP.
That's really good.
That's not wrong.
Kurt Loder, Creator Syndicate, former MTV news host.
Still can't believe he's still alive.
Former
If it-
human.
If it weren't for Ford's presence, Dial wouldn't feel like part of the indie canon at all.
Actually true.
Very true.
Absolutely true.
All right, the future
You
X's.
I was going to say, you could have put Tom Holland in there, and I would have thought this was an Uncharted ripoff.
Yep.
Future Xmas is Robert Winfree, Jeffrey Harris of 401 Mania.
Don't do that to Jeff.
I wanted to end this podcast. You made me do this.
I'm just saying, don't do that to him.
The Dial of Destiny isn't a total loss. It has some decent performative moments.
Tell that to the bottom line.
That longtime fans will appreciate. However, sometimes certain franchises and characters are better left in the past where they belong.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.
Again, he's like, that's positive by degrees. So, because I've read his full review on this one, and yeah, it's a rough go, this movie.
You think after 2.5 hours of us screaming about it, me mostly screaming about it?
Practically has been 2.5 hours.
Just about. All right. Well, folks, this has been fun. I had one or two opinions about
Mark,
this movie. Yes, sir.
One of those Internet Hall of Fame screenshots came across my feed the other day, and you've reminded me of how true it is.
Mm-hmm.
So some woman, I forget what so again, the screenshot came across on Twitter, but I don't know where it comes from originally. Woman asking like the universe, screaming into the void of the internet, why will men start a podcast instead of going to therapy? Hang on. And there's a response. Same reason a woman will start an OnlyFans instead of getting a real job.
Hang on. Hang on. Wait a minute now.
Oh, that's a bingo.
And you reminded me of how true it is that this is a quasi-therapeutic experience about a fourth of the time.
You know,
I'm not even mad at you for it. Like, I do it too.
I love my friends. I love everyone. I love Alexis. I love you. I love the Baileys. I love the Ronnies. I love everybody. Sometimes y'all touch my buttons, and I gotta say some shit. And it doesn't mean I love you less. I'm just saying sometimes I got some shit to say, and this is where I say it. And then I got to go back to my life and not say anything at all.
I was gonna say, well, you can't say it.
Where I can't say anything at all. So, with that said, tomorrow I got to get up way early in the morning, finish reading The Losers, and then do a comic strip with Evan, and then and then I think Thursday, Bloody Thursday. There's no other podcast this week. Tomorrow is the last of it, and then we're done. However, we've got some. No, Everyone Loves a Bad Guy this week. We've got the 2-part Long Road to Ruin on the first 4 Mission Impossible movies. First one goes up Saturday. Last one goes up Sunday. But before that, I filled up a lot of this week with some canned ham stuff. So Wednesday is our 1991 Captain America and the Avengers arcade commentary that Jesse and I did a ways back. That shit was hilarious just because of the why should it go well, or we couldn't stop laughing. So that's a fun one to listen to. Hey, remember when Rampage was fat and he fought Fedor, Rob?
He's still fat.
Well, we did a commentary for it, as hilarious as that was. That'll go up.
Mark.
Yeah.
I have to tell you about something you apparently missed.
Oh, hang on. That goes up Thursday. Go ahead.
It's related to Fat Rampage.
Yep.
So you've seen Fight Circus, right?
No.
Okay. This is a rinky-dink promotion out of... I think they operate out of Thailand.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know what it is.
Yeah. So you've seen... well, I know you... I'm not going to reference that website, but you know the website.
Yep.
You apparently missed the two-headed giant fight that they had. So they took... Hang on. So they took, like, you had 2 different guys. You had 2 different teams of 2.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be in the same shirt, so one of them can only use one arm. Right?
Okay.
So they put Fat Rampage and Bob Sapp together in one shirt.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
I am not kidding.
I need
Bob
video.
It exists. You can find it. Bob Sapp, man, on all the steroids right now. Just all
awesome. Love Bob Sapp. For a little while there, my son and I were doing the Bob Sapp Tour of Defeat, and we only got volume 1 done. But I need to make him watch more of those.
No,
anyway,
you don't.
Hey, remember when we did the alternative commentary for a couple of Tommy Morrison fights, and Pat tricked me into and Pat tricked me. I gotta hang on. I'm gonna tell the story because I want Alexis's genuine reaction to how horrible this was.
Please do, because you tell that part. I have to tell the back half of it because I don't know if you'll remember it properly.
Okay, so we decided, like, one night back when I used to have fun doing podcasts with my friends, Robert and Pat and I, having nothing else to do one night, like a fight that we were supposed to cover got canceled or ended too early or something like that. So Pat's like, well, you know what? Let's just get together and record something anyway. So he's like, here's a couple of Tommy Morrison fights. And I don't know if you know who Tommy Morrison is. He was, do you remember Rocky V, Alexis?
You are breaking up something fierce. You're sounding like Johnny Five from Short Circuit.
I think that's just you on your end. I haven't had a problem.
Okay, yes. I'm sorry, guys. My internet's been a little wonky. You saw I got kicked off earlier. So, you're both sounding a little wonky. I'm sorry.
Tommy Morrison is a professional boxer, big jacked up white dude. He was Rocky's protege in Rocky V. So Pat, knowing how much I like heavyweights, he was like, let's do a couple of Tommy Morrison fights. So we did. We watched them. We watched the fights. We did a commentary for them. And I'm like, okay, well, normally I would just call this whatever the fight is, but we did a couple of these. So what should I call this, Pat? And he goes, Positively Morrison. And I'm thinking to myself, that's a really odd title, but that's fine. That's positive. It's, Positively Morrison. We're positive on him is what I'm thinking. And I titled it that, posted it, and Robert and him are cackling like fucking hyenas. like the hyenas from the Lion King. I'm like, what is so fucking funny, you assholes? What is wrong with you?
No.
And Pat goes,
So
"Do
the next day, okay, Mark puts it up. Pat and I are laughing about this. It's late. Mark goes, okay, going to bed. Was fun. It's up. Pat and I have a good laugh. The next day, Mark messages me like, so what was so funny about that? And I just had to say, like, he's HIV positive, right? And died from AIDS. And Mark just, I assume, wanted to have a mild attack on the other side.
I believe I said you fucking assholes and then left it the way it was. Needless to say, in its current iteration, it's just called Tommy Morrison Alternative Commentary Highlights. Fucking dickheads.
You should have kept the title and made
Go
the
fuck
joke.
yourself.
Made the joke.
Anyway, so Positively Morrison goes up Friday. Long Road to Ruin, Mission Impossible, Saturday and Sunday. Source material, Silver Surfer Black. That's me and Jesse talking about that book. And then in the evening time, because, in February I do black shit, June I do gay shit, and then in July we do shark shit. So myself, Jason Teasley, and latest addition to the Radulich and Broadcasting cult, Dorian, who's been on a couple of our Damn You Hollywoods with Alexis. He's coming on. We're going to talk Shark Exorcist, Sharks of the Corn, and Ghost Shark. And then Damn You Hollywood is going to catch up on some streaming movies. We're doing Flaming Hot and Extraction 2, which, for those of you who think the Critical Drinker doesn't like anything, he liked Extraction 2. There, hot.
I've got my issues with it, but we'll talk about it.
Wednesday, special edition of TV Party. Myself and Gavin wrap up Ted Lasso season 3.
Season of Ted Lasso.
Thursday morning, we'll be re-airing our Damn You Hollywood for Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. And then at noon, myself and Sean Comer, we're going to be doing a Long Road to Ruin for the Men in Black trilogy.
Franchise that should have died.
Yes, sir. So that's it. That's all we've got here on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. Alexis, Hejna, show us where you pissed from.
All right, yes. Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. We just wrapped up the Greater Austin Comic Con. Always had a blast. I sent you guys the picture, right, of James Hong taking the stage in full Big Trouble in Little China costume. It was so amazing seeing him take the stage like that. And
yeah, you said that was good.
Okay. Sorry, it's like, again, the screen froze. I don't know what's going on with my internet. But anyways, we are taking the month off from the convention circuit. Going to be working on getting some more items up online here pretty soon. In August, we are going to be doing a small event here in Kansas City. It's called the Fountain City Mini-Con. We've done it the last couple of years. It's fun. It's local. You should come out. And at the end of the month, we are going to be heading to Colorado Springs for their Comic-Con. Really looking forward to that one. I've dropped this a few times, but I never get tired of saying it. Bruce Campbell's gonna be there. I cannot wait. Until then, you can always find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Under Duress Twitter. And as always, our shops are fully stocked on Etsy and handmade at Amazon. That's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
All right. Oh, there's Mark. He's back.
I was gonna say, it's like, so which one of us gets to close that the boss is gone?
Yeah, me. I'm the last one with plugs. So I cover mixed martial arts and professional wrestling over at 411mania.com. MLW stuff on Thursday, WWE SmackDown on Friday. WWE coming off of their Money in the Bank pay-per-view that I, as a guy who occasionally gets crap for having unpopular opinions.
On this show, the devil you say.
Not just here, but anywhere. Look, man, you give me good-natured crap, then there's the comment section on any given professional wrestling report I post. Somebody gave the main event for that particular event a poor star rating, and was just dragged through the mud for it. And not saying I agree with the reviewer, but just, again, I feel bad because I've been there. I've been the guy who's like, you know what? I didn't love that. Here's why I didn't love that. And the people going, how could you not love that? Like, it's literally typed out up there. You can disagree with me, but stop assuming I'm acting in bad faith, please.
It's fair.
I don't need you to agree with me. I really don't. But when your response to that is to assume I'm acting in bad faith or something similar like that, that grates me a little bit. So I'll be reviewing SmackDown on Friday. We'll be dealing with the fallout from that event, if you care, and I don't blame you for not. Last week was UFC on ESPN 48. It was not an especially compelling event. Had some good finishes, though, so full report, MMAZone411mania.com. This week is International Fight Week. That used to mean something in the MMA community. Now it doesn't. We've got UFC 290 with 2 title fights and maybe the weirdest potential middleweight fight in a while with Sir Robert of Knuckles taking on DDP.
I almost wore his shirt today. Instead, I went with Brock Party.
Yeah, I know. That was a choice.
Yes, to wear a different T-shirt.
Was a choice. So if you want a full preview of that event, I host the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast. I record that Sunday evenings. It goes up Mondays, so you can listen to me on your way to work talking about the wide, wacky, wonderful world of mixed martial arts. This coming week, again, review of UFC 290 and whatnot. Mark mentioned it. Next week, we will be reviewing Hot Ones, which I need to watch, or Flaming Hot, or whatever the hell it is. I don't care about that movie.
Okay.
But I will be watching it, and we will be talking about how stupid it is. And then we will be talking about why can't we have nice mid-budget action movies get released in theaters anymore? Because I have issues with Extraction too, but would have been a nice theatrical experience.
Would have been.
You've
All
seen
right,
it at
folks.
this point, I assume, right?
No, I have not.
Okay.
All right, folks. This has been 2.5 hours of hate.
Title of your sex tape.
Indeed. For Alexis, Hejna, our little ray of sunshine and bubbles, part 2. For Robert, Winfree, who pops all the bubbles and pisses on the sunshine. And for me... and for me...
You were the angry man tonight, more so than me.
The last angry Jew on earth. Be well, be safe.
You surpassed Michael Imperioli, huh? I don't know. Is he Jewish?
Hey, real quick, I'm literally just gonna hit the button as soon as I say this. I went to go see somebody for an evaluation that was currently in psychiatric lockdown at my job. And I come to the door and I'm like, hey, I'd like to talk to you about our diversion program. And he goes, which Jew prophet are you? Good night, everybody.